the back corner when I'm not presenting.
Listening in.
And listen in.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Bass University Live here on Tuesday night.
Take a quick break. Watch John Cruz's on the Tokyo rig.
Be a part of the show. Get some chances to win some awesome prizes.
This Bass you go. You know, we didn't have that back then. And dude, it can just...
That text thread gives me so much energy. I mean, like I'm dialed.
No, Pete Glusick did not get older and lose all his hair in the past week. The Dean of Bass University is off tonight, attending his son Jake's baseball playoff game. My name is Ken Duke, and for the next 90 minutes or so, I'm going to be your host here on Bass University Live. Pete assured me that this is how both Jay Leno and David Letterman got started. Now, if you don't know me, I'm the editor of Fishing Tackle Retailer magazine, the industry's only business-to-business publication. I'm also a longtime bass fishing writer with credits in just about every magazine and on every website you can think of. Yes, that one too. I'm here in Polk County, Florida, which I maintain is the bass fishing capital of the world. And I'm really excited to be here. And I thank you for joining us. I've been looking forward to tonight's show for a lot of reasons. I even considered kidnapping Pete so I'd get this opportunity. For one thing, last week I was on a really cool media junket with a major tackle manufacturer that's about to introduce a lot of baits that you're going to want to try, including one designed by Bass University's own Michael Iaconelli. For another, I had sushi with a good friend of mine last night. You definitely know this guy, and he's been a guest on this show in the past. He also has a new bait coming out from this company, and he's about to compete in a Bass Pro Tour event right here in Central Florida where I live. So we're going to talk about that too. But before we get started with the program proper and all this conversation and cool guests, I want to introduce you to the folks back in the studio who are making all this possible for both you and me. Brian the Carpenter is the man who presses the buttons, connects the wires, and herds the cats to make Bass U Live possible. BTC, cats. How are you tonight?
I'm good, man. This is nice, Ken. This is really nice.
It's nice to have a chance to be on the show. I always love being on Bass U Live, and to have a chance to host is really special for me.
Oh, man.
So I got to thank you guys for making that possible.
This is very buttery. Just keep going. I like it.
Buttery, yeah. Rich Ledbeater, he's the guy who connects you to those of us here on the show and in the studio. He's the guy who gives away the prizes and who generally makes Bass U Live an interactive experience. Riz, I hear you had a great Bass Nation qualifier.
That's right, Ken. I more so would like to say I kind of just got lucky and landed on the fish, and luckily a couple of them were dumb enough to bite my lures. But, yeah, it's great to be back. I wasn't able to be on last week's show because I wildly underestimated the poor reception I would have in the middle of nowhere, Virginia, and the live stream was just not a possibility for me where I was located. So it's great to be back on the live show. We got a great guest in studio with us tonight. It's going to be a good show, Ken. I'm excited for this one.
I am too. And Riz, talking about our in studio guest, last but hardly least, is that man. He's not from around there, but Bradley Hallman is a veteran bass pro fishing the Bassmaster Opens and fighting for a spot in the Elite Series. He's also a former Elite Series angler himself. He's a fantastic lure designer, a YouTuber, an all-around bass fishing renaissance guy. Welcome, Bradley Hallman.
Dude, I appreciate it. It is. It's my very first time in New Jersey.
He ain't from around here.
Ain't from around here. Ain't from around here. But I'll tell you what, man, pulling up here at the studio, it kind of looks like a home a little bit more than some of the places that I've been.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of pastures out there and some places the kids could chase a dog, and looks a little bit more like home.
Don't believe everything you see on TV, buddy.
There's got to be a reason they call it the Garden State, right?
There you go.
Absolutely.
I mean, something about that. Well, guys, we have got what I think is a really strong show tonight. In addition to the stellar talent in the studio, we're going to be joined a little bit later by Greg DePalma, Elite Series Pro, and Brandon Palaniuk, another Elite Series Pro who just won an Open on the James River. They're practicing for the upcoming Elite event on Gunnersville in Alabama. Greg's posted a couple of strong finishes, in the money finishes at both the James and in the Elite Series. So I'm looking forward to our conversation with them a little bit. But you know, to start with, I want to tell you guys about something that I did last week that I think is really cool, and I hope our viewers and listeners will be interested in as well. I got invited to Spirit Lake, Iowa. And, you know, if you want to talk middle of nowhere, Spirit Lake, Iowa is the capital of the middle of nowhere. It is 2 hours from the nearest airport. I was flying out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But what is in Spirit Lake, Iowa is the former Pure Fishing headquarters. And it's still where Pure Fishing does a lot of their manufacturing, a lot of their design, a lot of their engineering, a lot of their chemistry. So it's a really important hub in the fishing world. And if you guys haven't been there, you are missing out. It's really a very special place with a lot of extraordinarily talented people. I got to see some of the new stuff coming out, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about it because I just think that that's a side of the industry that not many people see. Now, Bradley, you've been involved in bait design for a long while now, and I got to tell you, one of my favorite flipping and pitching baits is your BFE from Big Bite Baits.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was awesome. That was a great opportunity that I got with Big Bite, and doing some stuff with Spro right now as well. So it's a process that's different, you know, with plastics to hard baits, right? And so I'm sure you saw a little bit of both of that there at Pure Fishing.
I did. I saw a lot of cool new stuff, including a bait that we're going to show people that Mike Iaconelli helped to design. But Bradley, tell us a little bit with Big Bite. Not a gigantic company like Pure Fishing or Berkeley. How long did it take you from inception to perfection with that BFE?
We started with the idea probably somewhere around September, October of, I mean, this was to start it. So, you know, the fall of 2019. And by, I would say, our goal was to release at ICAST time. So what's that, August? Is that right, guys?
July
of 2020. So, you know, it was probably in a 6-month process that we really jammed that thing in. It was a little bit easier, and that's what I mean by hard baits to soft plastics with molds and injections. And also, I think with the BFE for me personally, it was a little quicker because 20 years of experience of flipping, I pretty much had a pretty good idea in my head when I started where I wanted to end up, and that made that process a little faster and quicker, quite honestly. I'm having harder times with the hard baits. I can tell you that right now. It's a little bit longer process. Just ideas involved and everything else. The plastics seem to be a little quicker, but from beginning to end, it was probably 6 months or so. You know, from the time that you kind of can get the idea, the conception. We threw a bunch of ideas together. Matt Pangrack, which a lot of you guys know that are watching this with Bass Talk Live, helped me tremendously with that. And we went to a couple tackle stores. I actually videoed it all, used it all on my YouTube. That was kind of part of the system that I wanted to use with designing that bait, was to kind of show people how and what all goes into that, building your own plastic bait, and document it, if you will. And you know, the process from okay, here's a chunk of plastic and this is about what I want, to here it is on graph paper drawn out, to sending it in and then actually a mold being built and start working with prototypes and then making changes from the first prototypes that come out, because that's what happens. You know, they build a mold, you inject it, get some plastic, and you know, this is too thin, this is too thick, this is too big around here, or too small, and that's what we have with the BFE. It was a little bit small, the first couple of prototypes, and kind of kept beefing it up. With the BFE, I really just wanted something that would stay on a hook. Being efficient was huge for me, right? With a lot of the plastic baits that were out there on the market that I've been using successfully through the years, one of my biggest complaints was that, you know, you catch a fish or you set a hook on a fish and it tears and it rips and you got to sit down and put another one on. Yep. I wanted something to where I could just stand on that front deck and just flip.
Right. Nothing worse than when it tears and it's not even on a fish.
That's correct.
You know, coming through spatter dock pads or whatever, and your bait
Absolutely.
tears off.
Yeah,
that is aggravating.
It's very aggravating. So, but anyway, that was kind of the process for me there. You know, the people at Big Bite, just like the people at Pure Fishing, they've done it forever and very experienced, and they definitely all know what they're doing. So I kind of had my hand held. I'm not going to sit here and act like I knew everything, because I sure didn't. I learned a tremendous amount from those guys.
Well, I think there's a lot of hand holding at Pure Fishing as well. You know, they're such a big company. They've been doing it for so long, and they've got really some of the sharpest people in the industry. I think they put as much science into the process as anybody in history. But 6 months at Big Bite to go from concept to market, I think that's lightning fast. I don't know. I don't think very many companies can do that. And I think that Pure Fishing, you know, it probably takes, on average, I'm guessing it probably takes a couple of years for them to get to market. They've got a lot of moving parts. They're working with a lot of different pros, of course, including Mike Iaconelli, Edwin Evers, Hank Cherry, Gary Klein, Justin Lucas, Jordan Lee, on and on and on. But the degree of science they are putting into these things is really quite remarkable. But I'm a huge BFE fan. I'll tell you when I really fell in love with the bait, though, Bradley, was when I started using the hook you recommend with it. I was not getting the same performance out of it until I matched it up with the right hook. Mm-hmm. And since then, it's definitely one of my go-tos here in Central Florida.
What hook is that?
I'm going to let Bradley tell you. It's a Hayabusa, I believe.
Yeah, are you using the 4/0 EWG style hook? It depends on what you're. I designed that bait for two hooks. There's a 4/0 straight shank. If you're using braid, the 4/0 straight shank is what that bait's designed for.
That's what I'm using the 4/0 straight shank because I'm here in Florida. We got, you know, the heaviest vegetation I think in the country probably, and that 4/0 straight shank is doing me right.
Absolutely. So that bait, and that was a big thing for me when I designed that bait. Like I said, this was kind of how I was able to get this bait so quickly because I knew more about what I wanted. There's two styles of flipping that I do, and all of us do across the country, depending on where you're from. Whether you're punching grass, heavy stuff like what you've got in Florida, which is all going to be braid, and a lot of times a bigger weight. The straight shank is the way to go. It's the only way to go down there. But when you move to the Midwest or up to the Southeast where the grass is not the issue and you're flipping wood, or up here where you guys live, well, you guys got a lot of grass and vegetation too, so that's not really fair. But
we flip a lot of wood too, though. A lot of lay down, blow down.
Anytime I get into the wood situation, I personally prefer fluorocarbon.
Right.
And so the fluorocarbon in itself changes the whole dynamics. It changes the rod that I'm using. I'm no longer using those 8-foot rods like we use down in Florida where Ken's at with heavy grass. It changes the dynamic of the line, the rod, which also changes the hook. And so that I needed a bait that would take both. It needed to be the 4/0 EWG style hook along with the straight shank flipping hook. So
when you're flipping fluoro, you're using EWG.
EWG. I mean, even the knot changes, right? So everything's different.
So
everything's different.
What's the reasoning on why you go EWG as opposed to like a straight shank hook when you're using fluorocarbon?
So, you know, just like everybody that watches this, we're all watching and learning and trying to get as much as we can. And the straight shank seemed to be like what a lot of the pros were using. And I agree. When I got into braid and grass, my hookup land ratio was extremely high with the straight shank.
Right.
I had grown up in Oklahoma, me, Jason Christie, Edwin, flipping bushes, competing against each other. Dude, it's the EWG style hook, you know, on a tube or a beaver or now the BFE. And we had done that with 25 back in the day. It was 25-pound big game, right? In mono.
Yeah.
Then it went to 25-pound fluorocarbon.
Right.
Didn't change the hook. The knot's still the same. It's not the, you're
not snelling.
You're not snelling or anything like that.
What knot are you tying?
I personally tie a San Diego Jam, San Diego Jam.
Right.
I don't know that matters. You could tie a Palomar. You know, I mean, back in the day when I was using mono, it was Palomar.
Yeah.
Anyway, that hook land ratio in the wood with fluorocarbon is extremely high with an EWG style hook. So I went to the straight shank because I was reading books. I mean, this is even when I was on the Elite Series, you know, and you're trying to learn. This is where I went through the process of learning, and this is a big deal for guys that watch Bass U Live. Just because 20 pros, you know, Iaconelli comes in here and he says, I use straight shank all the time, and you look at all the trophies and you think, well, I should do what he's doing. It was one of those things that did not work for me. Ken, does that make sense? Like, it didn't make sense. It didn't work for me, and I had to go back because I was losing fish in that situation.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned all that and working for you, Bradley, because as a media guy who goes on a lot of these junkets, and one day I'm in the boat with Edwin Evers, the next is Gary Klein, the next is Bradley Hallman. I am always picking up somebody else's gear and fishing with it. And it's always an adjustment for me. Sometimes I learn something new I want to try, or some equipment I want to get. And sometimes I think, all I can think is, man, I wish I had my stuff. Anyway, Riz, what do we got on the message board? Anybody got a good question?
Yeah, Jared Dyer wants to know, Brad, what's your number one go-to all-around color, and what size weight would be your go-to for flipping?
So let's divide this into wood and grass since we're on this conversation, because
Okay.
they're probably going to change quite a bit.
All right.
I would say my go-to weight in grass is going to be 3/4 ounce,
Okay.
3/4 and up usually. But I'm usually going a little heavier anytime I'm around vegetation. Black and blue is my. I mean, if you just buy black and blue, you can go nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
In the wood,
It's true.
my weight's probably going to be 1/4 ounce.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know, usually it's shallower.
Pegged or unpegged?
Definitely 110% pegged, and color's going to be black and
Interesting.
blue no matter which spectrum we're flipping.
Okay. Okay.
You know, black and blue works great here too. And obviously, you know that, Bradley, Florida is a strong place for black and blue June bug. It's the one place where I'm not crazy about green pumpkin is right here at home in Florida. For whatever reason, I don't get bit the same on green pumpkin as I do anywhere else I go. Is that your experience as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I won the FLW tour event down there on Okeechobee in 2016. It was 100% black and blue. There wasn't any change. Black and blue is an amazing color, because black and blue, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, it works well in clear water as well. People think of it as a muddy water bait. That thing, look,
Like
up here where
like
you guys on the
crystal clear
bay,
water.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, bay's pretty clear when you're flipping milfoil up here. But, you know, they've got the crabs and things like that, and blue's a player.
Who got the crab?
You got the crab.
I ain't got the crab.
We all got the crabs.
What the heck's going on? We'll talk about
I can't
fishing,
keep
bro.
up, guys. But Riz, I know you've got a little message for folks. I know we got a commercial coming up. So Riz, take it away here.
Yeah, that's right, Ken. As always, all night, we're going to be working in questions on the IM board. Guys, the way to get involved in tonight's show is to be a subscriber of bashu.tv. If you're not already, now's a great time to get signed up. You can sign up and get 50 days for free, or save $50 on your annual subscription. That may not be our current promotion, but we definitely have a great promotion going on, which, in fact, is save $30 on your annual subscription and get the brand new Red, White, and BU Bash University official hat. So that's the deal, guys. Get signed up right now. Get 30 days for free, or save 30 on your annual membership and get a new Bashu hat. Guys, we got stuff all over the table. There's going to be a grand prize going out the door tonight, which is going to be $100 worth of TH Marine, G-Juice, Troll Motor Jacket, G-Force Cull System, and a Wave Away screen cleaner, as well as a Facebook like and share. If you're over there on Facebook, like and share tonight's feed, and you'll get entered in for a chance to win a $50 Bash University official swag pack. Guys, it's going to be a great show. Join the program. We want to help you catch more big bass.
Yeah. And for the guys on YouTube, I'm going to dial into that stream right now. I got you. You guys are awesome on YouTube. I got you. I got you.
Also, guys, if you're in this area and you have not signed up already yet for Ike's Celebrity Pro-Am,
Yes.
that is going to be June 5th on the Upper Chesapeake Bay, and that place is on fire. Catch some mega bags, help support a great cause, get kids involved in the sport of fishing, and you get a chance to win a fully rigged bass cat if you win that tournament, guys. So it's a great event. Come hang out. It's going to be fun. June 5th, Ike's Celebrity Pro-Am.
Yep. And if you don't win, we're having drinks afterwards, right?
Naughty Goose.
That's right.
Good stuff, guys. Hey, when we come back, I want to tell you about some of these new Berkeley baits from some pros that I bet everybody who's watching right now follows pretty closely. I think you're gonna be real interested in what they've got. So BTC, let's give it to the guys who are paying the bills, and we'll be right back.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worman series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
We're different. Some would say obsessed. There's no place on earth we'd rather be than right here, right now. Performance-driven gear, so you can fish longer, harder. Gill's Performance Fishing.
2021 Red Crest champion Dustin Connell here, and if you watch live coverage, we just got done at Lake Eufaula. I caught my fish using the active target with Lowrance. What you didn't see is I run a Sea Clear power harness in my boat. One of the main advantages of running this harness is it does not drain my batteries down at all running my 4 units. And what that's going to allow me to do is I'm able to see my bait at 8 a.m. just as good late in the day. Y'all check them out at seaclearpower.com.
You take pride in your boat, so it deserves the best protection possible. Our durable woven fabric prevents ripping and provides UV protection, and our tape seams provide protection against the elements. The heavy-duty shock cord hem and strap and buckle system provide a tight and secure fit. Our top-of-the-line boat covers come with a ventilation system to keep your boat free from mold buildup. Empire Covers, protecting what you love.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Bass University Live. I am sitting in for Pete Glusick today. My name is Ken Duke. I am surrounded by the best in the business in studio back in New Jersey, and that's BTC, Brian the Carpenter, who is pushing the buttons, controlling everything, making sure that you can see and hear us. Rich Leadbeater, the Riz, who is taking your messages and getting that information to us so we can ask the questions that you want asked, the things that you want to hear about, and making this thing truly interactive. And also our special guest and guest host in studio is Bradley Hallman. And, we're talking about bait development, bait development. Bradley was so instrumental in designing and creating the Big Bite Baits BFE, best flipper ever. And I had a chance last week to go to Spirit Lake, Iowa, and check out some new stuff from Pure Fishing that I thought was really cool. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't been that excited about a lot of Pure Fishing lures in the past couple of decades. I thought they were more or less hit or miss. They had some strong soft plastics, but the rest of it didn't do much to excite me. But the Fritz side last couple of years, some things I saw last week, I'm fired up. Have you guys had success with the Fritz side up there in the Northland?
Yes, Ken, actually. That this year specifically was the bait that anytime I was in a jam or in trouble, and when the water was still pretty cool, I was reaching for that Fritz side because it would get me out of a pinch. It would, I knew I could just run down a bank, fire it, and get a bite.
How about you, Brian?
Yes. Nobody buy them.
Nobody buy them.
Stay away. Bradley, I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I know that's not necessarily in alignment there, but anyway, the Fritz side's been wildly successful. It had a part in the Classic win last year.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with some new colors in the Fritz side, and that's going to be good for a lot of people who didn't quite feel it matched the hatch before. But I want to tell you about a couple of things that they've got coming out. And I'll start with Mike Iaconelli's new bait. It's called the Gilly, as in blue gilly. It is a little swim bait, a soft plastic bait that you can Texas rig. BTC's got one right there. I
might have one in my hand.
It's really special in this way. You can Texas rig this sucker with or without a weight, rig it weedless style with an offset wide gap hook and come in through the side, not go in through the deep part, which would be very difficult to find the right hook for, but come in through the side with a 4 or 5/0 hook. And that thing will still swim upright. Your hook may be coming out over here, but that thing will still swim upright, which I thought was remarkable.
Is that right? You saw swim videos?
I saw, no, Brian the Carpenter. I saw the sucker swim in the Berkeley test tank.
Wow.
Which is even cooler. Yeah, that's one of the things I want to talk about because that's what is really cool about going to the Spirit Lake facility and seeing what they got. I was last there 15 years ago. That's how old I am, that I was able to go there 15 years ago and then come back this year. They've got this 13.5-foot deep, long, looks like a long swimming pool where you can make a pretty lengthy cast and see these baits swim and fall and move. And that's awesome. They've also got a flow tank that they keep a bunch of previously uncaught, unmolested, unharassed bass in so they can see what their reaction is to these new lures as they run around this tank. It's not actually a flow tank. The water stays still basically, but there's a motorized lure puller that goes around and around the tank. It is cool as all get out. They have some fantastically talented scientists and engineers there. People like John Prochnow, Mark Sexton, Keith Ostrom, who are beady-eyed and serious about their fishing and absolutely dedicated to producing the best products they can. And one of those products I think you're going to be interested in is the Gilly. I'm excited about getting that thing, Brian, and flipping it into holes in the grass here in Florida, weightless, like an injured bluegill or something.
Brian's got a little experience with a bait like that.
What's that?
Yeah, I've been messing around with a bait very similar to this, the bellows gill, G-Crack bellows gill. Ken, what sizes does this come in?
I knew you'd ask me a technical question, Brian, and that's why I deliberately did not prepare. I have no idea. No, wait a
minute. You got to love the honesty, dude. That's awesome.
Dude, I was just thinking that a minute ago when he was saying,
it comes in like 3 sizes.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a lousy job of telling everybody. I even told my friend who handles their it comes in a couple of sizes, 90 and 130 millimeters. So
why are we doing
130 millimeter? That's a pretty good chunk right there.
Yeah, that's standard. Like millimeters is what all bait companies. I mean, the 110. I mean, everything is in millimeters. That is our bass fishing world. I'll be honest with you. I don't even know why we're on standard system. Like that's a whole other subject. I know we don't get off on
that is, and we're not going to get too deep in it. But I mean, they did used to do inches. I mean, they still kind of do, right? Kitech 3.2,
3.3, yeah,
and 3.3 or whatever it is.
Well, 110 sounds a lot cooler than 4.5 or whatever it would be.
It does.
I mean, let's just all get on the same page. So I'm saying. So would you say there's 3 sizes?
Let's all get on the same page.
I think we should go to the metric day, which has only 10 hours, and the metric week, which has 10 days. And I don't even know. When I was a kid, which is way before you guys were kids, I was told that the metric system was coming, and we better get ready for it.
Yeah.
But hey, hats off to America. We stood the fight against the metric system. We don't need it.
Still doing it.
Salute.
A lot of work went into that bait right there. By the way, I mean, I don't want to reveal too many details, but I remember when that thing first showed up in the test tank at the Iaconelli compound in the garage.
Year and a half?
Longer.
2 years?
Like last time Fighter and Grow were here long ago.
It might have been.
Oh, it was. It was, and they were far along in the developments then. I'm telling you, a lot of time and effort has gone into the design of that bait. And I've seen, Ken, exactly what you just said, the way that it swims with the hook in there. You'll put it in the test.
Crazy.
Like, what the? Like, how does that even work?
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
You would think the hook would wind up being a keel and ride underneath, but it doesn't. It just rides on the side, and that bait swims true.
Yep.
And Riz, if I hope one day you get a chance to go check out the facility there in Spirit Lake, because it will open your eyes to what science can bring to bait design. Most companies, unfortunately, whether because they don't have the resources or don't have the regard for the scientific element, they throw a bait in a tank and say, well, that looks pretty dang good. And then it's on the market. But that's not good enough at some places. And Berkeley is one of those places. Another bait that a lot of time and energy went into is Edwin Evers' new bait. It's called Agent E. It's a little swim bait. Comes in a variety of sizes. Brian, don't even ask me how many sizes. I don't remember.
You say a swim bait, or is that the jerk bait?
Well, no, it's a swim bait.
Now, is it going to be in inches or is it going to be in millimeters?
It's in pecans.
Okay. I'm just kidding.
It's 3.5 pecans long.
Bradley, why is everyone against me? I thought you were at least going to help me out today, but no, I got to look and see. Oh, wait. It comes in a couple of sizes from 2 1/4 to 3 3/4 inches long. They actually gave me that in inches. So
there we go.
But it's a cool.
Am I right?
You tie it on. It's already got the lead and everything embedded in it. It swims great. It swims great on the fall. It's going to be a really versatile bait. I had a chance to fish it with Edwin Evers last year when it was just a prototype here in Florida when he was in the area. There are 6 new jigs coming from Gary Klein. And they got the Fusion 19 hooks. They got the cool head designs. But here's what's really different about this. If you're a power bait guy, if you like power bait, the power bait is infused in the silicone of these jigs for the first time ever. So they've got the attractant built in.
Wow.
Which I think is new and very different in that arena.
Jig.
Yeah. Say that again, Ken. I'm gonna slide this jig on over here.
Oh, I was gonna say the power bait is infused in the silicone skirt.
How about it?
So whereas guys who are really big on power bait used to have to spray the bait or dunk the bait, no more. It's in the skirt to stay, and it releases gradually when the fish hits it, stuff like that. So that's a really cool thing. They've got some new baits to work in the Ned market that I think are really going to be interesting. They got some new colors for the Fritz side, which of course are going to be wildly popular because that's such a good bait. The new jerk bait designed by Hank Cherry is called the Stunna, Stunna. And it was designed by Hank Cherry, of course, who won the Classic last year, fishing a jerk bait mostly, or a lot. And it's got a cool tungsten weight transfer system, so you can throw it a mile.
Ooh.
It sinks really slowly. It sinks like a foot every 8 seconds. But one of the things I really liked about it when I saw it in the tank that you can't see, unfortunately, in a still picture, is that it has this wicked little shimmy right when you stop it. Right when you pause it, it just shivers. It's a really cool look. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that bait. Hank Cherry is one of the foremost jerkbait guys in the nation, and I think it's going to be a player out there.
Hey Ken, I wanted to add to that. That was a secret that Hank kind of gave up on Bass U. We had Rich. What seminar was that about 2 months ago?
We had him. He had jerkbait. The seminar was called Jerkbait Flow. You can find that on Bass U TV. I'll share it in the message.
It was a live classes that we ran, and he gave it up there. And on the down low, that's what Hank's been doing. His jerkbaits aren't suspending. They haven't been suspending. They've been sinking jerkbaits.
Yep.
And
they sink super slow. I can't remember whether it's a foot every 4 seconds, but I think it might be a foot every 8 seconds.
But he's been getting his jerkbaits down to places other guys haven't.
Yeah.
Been
So
winning trophies and stuff.
Berkeley's got it going on with these new baits. They're going to make a big splash at ICAST. I think they're going to make a big splash in the marketplace. I don't have any, I'm not beholden to Berkeley in any way or Pure Fishing. They're obviously the biggest dog in the tackle world, especially after they recently purchased Plano and Fraybill. But they've got it going on, and their facility is second to none. This is where they make all their fishing line. And as you guys know, they're the biggest fishing line manufacturer out there as well. So some strong stuff coming out of a legendary brand there. Really cool stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about, this is kind of a good transition here, I think, in the program to go to ICAST a little bit, because guys, we did not have an in-person ICAST in 2020, but we're going to have one this year. And it's coming up in a couple of months. And Riz and BTC, I know you guys are getting ready from a show perspective, but Bradley, you got a lot of sponsors you're going to be serving out there at ICAST. And it's got to mean a great deal to those companies to have a chance to see the buyers and to see the media face to face. What is the ICAST experience like for a top pro like yourself?
I don't know. I mean, it's a unique time. We get to see a lot of new baits that are on the market or that are coming forth. Things that, quite frankly, a lot of my friends, right, because I'm friends with a lot of these guys, and that they've all been working on for multiple years sometimes, right. and that's not uncommon to come out with stuff that they really have kind of had in their hip pocket and really put a lot of time and effort into, and all that stuff gets veiled out. It's kind of like the classic, but it's the classic for a tackle, I guess is the way you would say it. I mean, as us as fishermen, we're trying to, see the new things that are out there. We obviously want to know what is on the cutting edge of what's new and what might work and what's not. We try to see through the gimmicks, right? Because it seems like there's always gimmicks at ICAST. But the problem is sometimes you look at something and everybody's like, that's a gimmick, and then that sucker works, right? Like if anybody had ever brought the A-Rig to ICAST, oh, my God, we would have all thought that was not going to play, and then it would have played big time, right?
Yeah, right.
How is it on your end? I mean, as a writer and you cover all angles of the sport, Ken, how is ICAST for you guys?
Well, as a media person, I love ICAST because it's the one place that you come the closest to getting the industry all under one roof. Not everybody's there, of course, but There'll be 600, 700 different companies represented. Not all of them are in the bass market, but probably most of them are to some degree or another. And it's exciting to see the new stuff. It's exciting to walk into the new product showcase, which is presented by Fishing Tackle Retailer, by the way, which is my employer. And it's a great deal. And I'm so thrilled to be part of that new product showcase where you see kind of the best of the best. And plus, you know, Bradley, if you've been to as many ICASTs as I have and as you have, the show is not only a good way to see new stuff, but it's also kind of a reunion.
Yeah.
You know, this is where you see guys who maybe you don't see more than once or twice a year, but you still like them. You still consider them friends and stuff.
Absolutely.
So it's part reunion. And I love that about it. And I missed it last year. You know, that was the thing that really bothered me about all the changes from the pandemic. I got friends out there that I haven't seen in forever because our industry was disrupted.
It was, you know, I was thinking about that. I think Brian the carpenter and I were talking about that last night and yesterday on the water. You know, we got the opportunity of the Classic, and how lucky were we to get that in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, just under the wire.
Right before the world stopped.
Dude, like it stopped.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable that we got that off and we didn't miss a year of the Classic. But you're absolutely right. We definitely missed ICAST. I'm looking forward to it as well. It is a great time. It is a reunion for all of us. You're right. I see lots of people that I haven't seen in a long time and looking forward to it.
Yes.
And of course, you guys have to drive or fly a long way to get to ICAST, but I have to drive 25 minutes. It's exhausting.
You poor thing.
So I've made that part of it easy on myself. I'm from Orlando, so it's nice to be here. It's nice that ICAST is here. And for anybody who's attending, expect ICAST to stay here because ASA is committed to the show being in Orlando at least through 2026, as far as I know.
That's awesome.
Maybe longer.
Yeah.
It's going to be there a long time. So it's a cool show, you know. A lot of industry people, of course, will never be able, a lot of non-industry people will never be able to attend it. A lot of industry people never attend it, but it's an exciting time. A lot of cool people, just about anybody you'd ever want to meet in the fishing world is there, including Bradley Hallman, Brian the Carpenter, and the Riz this year. So it should be a really good time.
And Ken Duke.
And I'll be there too. I'll be, I get my exercise for the year on the ICAST show floor. It's that brutal, that much walking. Bradley, I want to change gears, man. I want to talk to you. I'm sorry, BTC, do we need to take a break here?
Yeah, to that point, you know, that I just read some comments on YouTube, and somebody commented, you know, getting a lot of Ken lately, and people are really enjoying it, you know. I know you said you were on like 80 podcasts this past year. And
I was joking with Brian earlier saying that I'm like everybody's, you know, especially everybody's last minute, I can't get anybody else go-to guy. You know?
Yo, Pete.
I need somebody bald, fat, and who can talk about bass fishing. And naturally they think of me.
You're not fat.
But it's kind of fun to be that guy. But I think I do about 80 shows a year. I had such a good time with you guys last summer. You know, I hosted or guest hosted with Pete and you guys a lot of episodes of Bass U Live. It was a blast.
Yep.
Sure was.
I'm on BTL with Mark and Matt quite often.
Yep.
I really enjoy that show a lot.
They're good.
I do a lot of We Fish ASA podcasts. I do a lot of radio shows. And Brian's trying to convince me to do my own YouTube show or podcast. So one of these days,
Ken, we've been talking about this for well over a year now. And I mean, guys, seriously, if you agree that the bass fishing world needs a Ken Duke podcast, please comment. I'll post his number. You guys can text him. Put his number in the comments section.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Light him up.
Actually, hey, anybody who wants to reach me, I'm not shy. My email address is ken@mycropterus.com. Mycropterus is the Latin genus name for the bass family. You can email me. If I had a show, guys, it wouldn't be like Bass Talk Live. It wouldn't be like Bass U Live. It would be more about the history and strange stories about the sport. I'm going to tell you guys a strange story a little later.
I would listen to
it.
It would be amazing, Ken. Seriously.
Well, thank you. Anyway, I want to talk to Bradley Hallman. I don't get to talk to Bradley Hallman that much. We're going to take a break first. And some folks, is that right, BT? Take a break?
We're not shoot, what time is it? Oh, yeah, no, we're getting close. Now, we got about 15 more minutes, but I wanted to hit a couple more things, man. And Ken, I think I'd mentioned this to you before, but when we were 20, myself and Mike were 20 years old, 19, 20, and formulating our bass club, we named it Top Rod. That was, Mike came up with the name, but my choice was Mike Cropterus. That's what I wanted to speak. Yeah, so we got the same brain. No one else gets it, but I got you, Ken.
I like it. Yeah, it's a weird email address. I always have to spell it out for people, but I bought that URL some years ago. I love that URL. So break now, no break now. Where are we?
No, we got another 15 minutes. I'm gonna text Greg DePalma and see how they're making out. But go ahead.
Awesome. So I get to talk to Bradley about this. Bradley, you fish a lot of tournaments.
Yeah.
And you fish a lot of big field tournaments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there has got to be just an enormous difference between launching and fishing against, 50 boats in a Bassmaster Classic versus 100 boats in the Elite Series versus 225 boats in an Open.
Right.
How do you, just like it's different playing poker against a table of 10 versus a table of 6, how do you break that down? How do you approach that situation and adjust?
That is a great question, because they are like totally different strategies. Pete actually brought this up. Pete got him some of that 225 field Open last week, and the little bit I got to visit with him on the water yesterday when we were out at the bay. He was taken back by the 225. He's like, man, you can't even run patterns. You can't run patterns because there's boats on everything, man. It's like the big deal with the Opens right now is that a lot of those guys spend a week, 2 weeks practicing.
Right.
And so a lot of the fish have really been pressured.
Yeah,
a lot.
They get the iron.
All the little spots kind of get discovered. Yeah, they get the iron. Yeah, exactly. The forged steel.
That's a great way to put it, Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That is a great way. For me personally, Ken, dude, like you said, I have fished a lot of tournaments. I remember growing up, so I'm from Oklahoma, not from New Jersey.
Yeah.
We had some team circuits growing up, me and Jason and Edwin and Terry Butcher, and I mean, there's a list of us that were there. But, man, we had some 500, 525 boat fields at every single team event throughout the year with some trails. And
I'm sorry, man. Why did you have to bring Jersey into this conversation? I'm from Oklahoma, not from New Jersey.
Dude,
I just don't understand what the relevance. I mean, I'm with the story, but
because I'm enjoying being here so much. It's so different. Dude, you have no idea. It's like I am on another planet.
Here it is.
Dude,
we're all Martians.
No, it's just different. Like, it is really, really different. I'm not going to lie, man. I like this place a lot.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Bradley, did you bring a translator? Bradley, did you bring a translator with you to New Jersey, or are you all just on your own?
I did have a lady at the gas station this morning look at me funny whenever I held the door for her, and she said, thank you. And I said, yes, ma'am. She kind of just all I said was yes, ma'am. And she kind of looked at me like, where? No, ma'am, I'm not John Wayne. Please just go on in. I was just opening the door. But anyway, yeah, I mean, those were big tournaments. And, I think that Jason Christie definitely got a lot of his style from there. I think Butcher did as well, and myself. First and second place was where the money was. Like, that was it. It was really good money. I mean, it was a boat, or it was $25,000-$30,000. And dude, this was every weekend in Oklahoma in the early 2000s, late 90s. It was a lot of money. It was a hell of a lot of money.
Right.
And so we really put in a lot of time and effort and work. And I think that's kind of helped me, 20 years later, here we are at the Opens, and there's 225 boats. That kind of helps me. The problem is that they're not lakes that I'm so familiar with that we just do battle on over and over. These are brand new fisheries. Like the James River, for example, last week was the very first time I had ever been there in my entire life. What I will say about the James, we just finished that Open, and that's what Pete and I were discussing. It really did fish pretty big. It really did. Now, I know that in past events, Ike had won one there, right? Yep. The last one, I believe the last one they had. Is that right, Brian?
2019, yeah.
Those guys have been going there in late summer, early fall, topish, August. Is that correct?
Yeah, they were there in 2019 in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're there.
Middle of the summer, like late July.
We were there this year, spawn. I mean, like, that is what is going on. And it really helps the fishery overall, see the weights. I had somebody make the comment to me that we were actually catching better weights at the James River than they were catching at Eufaula. Did you guys notice that?
Wow.
So the tour was going on, the MLF Tackle Warehouse tour was going on at the same time, and I think the weights were better at the James River than what was actually, when you were going down the Money Cut.
Wow.
So that's pretty impressive, right?
Yep.
I mean, that place is showing out. But it's a great fishery. But, yeah, the 225 boats, like, you can't just get on a pattern and run. It does
be somebody on your stuff.
Yeah, there's boats, one right after the other.
Something that you said really stood out to me with the practicing, like, and guys taking like long periods of time to stay at the lake and practice before these things. How do you feel about that? Because like the more that I'm learning about myself as a fisherman, I realize that if I have too much practice and I get too dialed into something, I'll bomb.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that I need to kind of just start to figure it out a little bit.
Yep.
And then learn it in the tournament. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, guys taking 2 weeks to practice, 3 weeks to practice for a tournament leading up to it. Is it too much? Can you practice too much, or how does that all work?
It is personal. That's what that is the correct answer. Dude, I know this. This is like, if everybody's different.
Yeah.
And some people can really, really do well by focusing a long period of time in practice. I am very much like you. I need to kind of dabble in it, see it, and then learn more throughout the event, and those are the ones that kind of flourish for me. There are some guys that do extremely well by spending a lot of time on a fishery. They learn every little hole. The downfall is this is in the opens, right? And this is the only thing I'm talking about. And I've seen this for many years. Ken has seen this. He's covered the Bassmaster and the Bassmaster Elite Series for longer than I've ever been fishing there. I mean, Ken's done it for a long time.
I think Bradley just called me old.
No, I'm pretty old too, so I'm not, I'm not calling anybody out here. No, I'm calling you.
No offense taken, man. No offense taken.
And you've seen this. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There are guys that can excel by spending that tremendous amount of time there, but then they qualify for the Elite Series where you're cut down to 2.5 days of practice, because that's really what it is. It's 2.5 days. Really, it's 2, and then the half days kind of like, you're trying to make the most of it. But it's very difficult for those guys to translate that into an Elite Series career, because those boys jump on it real quick.
Yep.
So can you do well both ways? Yes, you can, and it does fit in your personality and just kind of what works for you.
Yeah.
Are you better if your ultimate goal is to fish on a tour level? Because I think the FLW or the MLF, let me get this correct, the MLF Tackle Warehouse Tour, is that correct, guys? The Big Five? I have a hard time with that.
Yeah, something like that.
That's because I'm old.
There's so many tours now, it's hard to keep
Anyway,
up.
Those guys practice basically 2 days. That's it. It's game over. And I've actually got buddies on that tour right now, because, that's where I was before I was in the Opens, and they feel like that. Dude, they're telling me right now I'm spending more time driving than I'm spending time fishing, because they're spending 2 days to go there. They fish 2 days practice and then a 2-day derby or whatever. And then if they don't make the top 20 cut or whatever, then they're back in their truck and they're driving 2 days. They're like, basically, I'm driving more than I'm fishing, which is the opposite of what we're talking about right here.
Right, for the Opens.
So if you're wanting to fish at a national tour level and be successful, you better learn how to find them in 2.5, 3 days.
Sure.
And learn, and that's what it is. That's what it's about. It's not about knowing every single little nuance of everything that's out there. It's about dabbling in practice and then learning, just like what you said.
Yeah.
Kind of figuring it out as you go throughout the event.
Right. Almost get that paralysis by analysis type thing where, like, and I could see it a lot in the Opens. Like, if you say you, like, totally dialed into a place and you got 50 different spots that you're going to run to, if you start running to spots and there's boats on your stuff on the first 5 stops, pretty quick you're spending more time driving around the lake than you are fishing.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Absolutely.
just put the trolling motor in the water and go down a bank and just fish what looks good.
Absolutely.
So, like, on this topic, that's, as Ken was saying in the beginning of the show, I just got back from a nation tournament, a state qualifier on Bugs Island, and I'd never been to the lake before. And in a few days of practice, I was trying to, develop a pattern around the lake, running shoals, running long points, and that was working during practice. But during the tournament, the first day of the tournament, at 10:30 a.m., I had 2 fish in the live one. I said, crap, this isn't really working. So I scrapped it and just went fishing, what looked good,
Right.
And it ended up being a decent tournament because I just started to fish what looked good instead of trying to do what was supposed to work on the lake. I just went into doing what I like to do and what I felt comfortable doing, and that's something that you've done for a long time. And kind of what you're known for is you know what your strengths are, and you do them. You go to the lake and you try to exploit that way of fishing on that body of water.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that, about how you do that on a tour level. You get to a lake, you've never been there. You get 2 days of practice. You know what you want to do. You get on the water and you go for that. How do you start down that path?
I think part of it's being stubborn, right? Part of it's being stubborn and just doing what you're comfortable with. I think it took me years to get to that point. Right. And I still struggle with it because I personally am a very versatile fisherman. Like he was with me yesterday and we spent a majority of the day with spinning rods in our hands, and people don't look at me and think I am very versatile, but I have been versatile to a fault in my career of fishing.
Okay.
And I honestly mean that. And I can't, like if I would have just been one-minded, I was going to throw a flipping stick and a spinner bait my entire life, I probably would have a better career than I've even had at this point, honest to God. But I am versatile to a fault. When you look at all of the superstars in this sport, and I mean this, and Ken's covered a lot of them, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. All of those guys do that. They truly do. There are very few. Edwin Evers is a good example of a guy that honestly can win tournaments doing a multitude of things. There's very few of those guys.
Right.
I think that Todd Fairclough falls into that category somewhat. Here's a guy from
Mark
Texas,
Davis.
Sam Rayburn, right? Would you agree with that, Ken?
I absolutely agree with you there, Brady. I would add Mark Davis to your list as well.
Mark Davis is a freak, right? We used to call him Hammerhead. When he came back from FLW to Bass, I was roommates with Derek Rimmets, and Mark, he was in his later 40s at the point, and he still his mind is right. He catches them no matter what. And you're absolutely right. Mark Davis falls in that category, but there's very few of those guys. There's many more guys that are Denny Browers, Jason Christie's, Mike Iconelli's. Iconelli is doing his deal generally, right? Like I know it. His may be more like Edwin in a way, but he still has his wheelhouse. Most of the guys that are dominant all the time that you see that truly stay in their wheelhouse. For God's sake, Greg Hackney won an AOY. Dude, he won an AOY. That guy, he's a shallow water power fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at those guys after my 6 years on the Elite Series. And when I came home and I was like sick of it and ready to sell my boat, I was going to quit fishing. I was never going to do it again. I really, really, truly looked at a lot of that when I kind of started getting that fire and that hunger back when I came back to the FLW tour. And that was what I saw. Go do what you do the best first. You know, don't let the spinning rod bite out here affect you. And here's a good example. When we were at the Open, the last one before Virginia, we were in Tennessee on what was the name of that lake? Douglas, is that correct? Anybody in here know?
That's in Tennessee.
Yep.
Douglas is a Highland and Palman, crystal clear. A lot of fish spawning when we were there. My roommates are just jacking them down lake. Like every day they're coming in, and my roommates are like, man, we're getting 30 bites and 40 bites, and it's just incredible. And I was not experiencing that because I had I had taken the map, just like we're talking about. There was part of this lake on Google Earth that you could tell fit my style of fishing, right?
Yeah.
There were some willow trees. There were some things in the river. And I knew that the quality was up there from the fall tournaments. Like every time they'd been there, it had always been in the fall, kind of like the James kind of went down. But you could tell that the quality lived there. They're not going to swim all the way down the damn lake. Like they live up there.
Right.
So I went up there, and the first day of practice was incredible. But with the way the water was falling, there was like 10 willow trees up there, basically. That's kind of what it turned into. Yeah. But there was no one there because everybody wanted the 50 bites. I told my roommates, Pangrack was one of them. He's having an extraordinary practice. And I said, that's not my deal because I know what they're down there doing. They're down there in that clear water. They've got the spinning rod in their hand. They're throwing that Ned rig, and they're getting a lot of bites. I wanted to be where the water's a little more stained. I can throw a chatterbait, a spinnerbait, a buzzbait, and a flipping stick. Do I enjoy the Ned rig and the spinning rod? Damn right I do, 100%. But being stubborn, those bites are better up there.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I ended up doing – I got to check in the event. They had much better practice than I did. I had a better tournament than they did. It wasn't because I had more bites. Like, I struggled to get the bites. But at the end of here's a great example. This is back to co-anglers. My co-angler on day 2 had been with someone who was down lake, and he'd had a good day. He'd caught 40 fish out of the back of the boat. 40 out of the back. He was in the top 25. I think he was somewhere around 25th place, something like that. And he was concerned when he drew me because I'm flipping 10 willow trees. Once we got there.
Rubbing the bark off them.
Yeah. In between willow trees, I picked up a buzzbait first thing in the morning, and I get a bite. I had noticed that there was bank grass because the lake had risen. The bank grass, and this is not like aquatic vegetation. This is dry land vegetation, but now the lake has covered it. And I told him, I said, that fish is in that grass. It's underneath the water. We can't see it, but it's, it's 7-8 inches tall. It's just, Bermuda or whatever it is. And I said, they're in it. I said, dude, we need to, and this was kind of, I use my co-anglers as bird dogs. And what I mean by that, I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it in a good way. If they'll listen to me, I'm like, I try to give them things to test out and try, like a bait that they might eat better than what I'm throwing.
Yeah.
I just caught one on a buzzbait, so I can't just like set the dang buzzbait down and pick up a chatterbait. But I told him, I said, I think the chatterbait, because this was day 2 up there, I think the chatterbait may be the bite. That may be the bait. He picks that sucker up and catches a 4-pounder, just boom, right off the bat. And a 4-pounder on Douglas is huge.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Big one. He catches it, and we're 2.5 hours in the day, and it's the first fish he's caught. He kind of mumbles about the fact that, yeah, it's a big fish, but I caught 40 fish yesterday. It's my first fish. I looked at him, and I said, hey, Bubba. I said, you caught how many yesterday? He said, I caught 40. I said, how many did you catch that big? He said, none. And I said, that's my point. Like, all you need is 2 more bites. You don't need 40 bites.
Right.
And then that's part of the game of playing the 5-fish limit, and that's also part of the game of playing my strength. I know what comes from that type of cover on that type of, in that time of year. And so that's why being stubborn can pay off. And it paid off for Denny Brower, Jason Christie, Hackney, and even the deep water guys, right? Like Aaron Martins, the drop shot. Ken, you covered that for years. And that guy, like if I go do what that guy did, I'm going to catch some fish, but I'm never going to threaten a win. That dude can threaten a win with the drop shot, but he understands when, where, and how where the big ones are.
Hey guys, I'm loving the conversation, but we have got a couple of very special guests in the queue, and I want to bring them in before they decide to go out and keep practicing on Gunnersville. I'm talking about Greg DePalma and Brandon Palaniuk.
All right, we get them.
Have we got them, BTC?
Yeah. It takes a second.
Awesome. There they are. Gentlemen,
they're sideways.
I love the look.
Hey, guys.
I love the look. I knew you guys were a little weird, but I had no idea you could warp the time-space gravity continuum.
Ken, so Greg, we did a test Skype. We went through all this. The phone was not locked. Richard?
No.
It was not locked. And then you go live, and the screen's locked. Greg, I'm not blaming you for this. I think there's other forces at work here. But your screen's locked, so turn the
Greg, the real question we have for you, sir, is how can you operate the Humminbird stuff when you can't even work your phone?
I mean, I think I'm working my phone right. You guys right now are sideways.
Turn your phone the other way, bud, or unlock your screen.
Hey, I'm just thrilled to have you guys. Brandon, congratulations on the win on the James River Classic. Thanks. Brandon Palaniuk, love it.
There you go.
Great job.
I guess you just have to grab it and flip it.
Because I was like, how do I watch my screen?
Except now he's frozen.
We're good.
You hear
no, that's just Brian's face.
We got you guys?
Yeah, Brandon,
Yes,
congratulations on the James River, man. Exciting win. 5-time elite winner, about to fish your 10th classic. Some big landmarks that you're hitting out there. And I want to talk to you about the James for a moment. And once again, the big swim bait coming into play for you on a body of water that I thought maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah, there just happens to be a lot of really big fish at the James River. People don't think of that, but for a tidal fishery, especially one that doesn't have that much grass in it, it is loaded with big fish. And I've spent enough time in that area to know that there's big ones to give me the confidence to be able to throw those big baits. And what I noticed on day one is that I was seeing a lot of really big gizzard shad in the area. And when I was only catching 2 to 3 pounders on a 6-inch swim bait, I said, well, I guess I'll just step it up and see if I can get a bigger bite.
Now, I've known a lot of guys through the years in elite history who would get out the big swim baits in practice, and they would try to see some fish following. They would use it to locate fish, but you're using it to catch them, aren't you?
Yeah, actually, I never even threw it until day 2 of the event. Day 1, I caught a lot of my fish on a drop shot, and then I knew I had to make a change, and I noticed that a lot of the fish were post spawn. That first day I caught a lot of fish that were real skinny, and I figured that they were going to be wanting to feed up. They were going to want to start putting the weight back on. And whenever that happens, as long as it's far enough away and they go into that feed mode, a big swim bait's tough to beat.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I'm sorry, some other guys probably have some questions. I'm sure we've gotten some stuff on the message board. Riz, we got anything you want to bring in now, or should we just keep chugging along here?
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. I know Brad is chomping at the bit here to get after Brandon about this tournament. So I'm going to pass it over to him, and I want to hear what kind of questions he has for Brandon, because he was also at the James River.
Yeah, first of all, Brandon, congratulations, dude. Impressive win. Walking away with just huge bags like day 2 and day 3, just incredible. You and I spent a lot of time. We waved at each other quite a bit on day 1, up in that section of the river. First question was, did you get to where you wanted to fish on day 1, or was there issues?
No, I actually had, it was actually a buddy of mine, but he started there. He was boat 1 of the tournament, and I was boat 154. And I ran all the way there, and he was sitting right where I wanted to start. And he caught a couple good ones, and I ended up just kind of fishing around that area.
Yep.
And just running some of the other stuff that I had from the past, and was able to get bit. But it wasn't really until I figured out day 2 exactly where I needed to make that cast. I mean, it was literally the strike zone was like 5 feet by 5 feet. And if you were out of that, you didn't get bit.
The thing that I was really impressed with on day 1, when I watched you were running a pattern that was very, very similar to what one of my roommates, Matt Pangrack, was running with the drop shot. Very similar. So I knew it's pretty much what you were kind of focusing on day 1 when I saw you quite a bit running around. I didn't come back on day 2, so I don't know what all exactly went down. My question was the things that I'd heard from Upshaw, I think, had a conversation with you after maybe day 2, and he came in and he talked a little bit to us. With what you did, and it being so impressive with that swim bait, big baits, was that something, because I had spent every day of practice putting in at that area of the river, and I didn't see you until basically the last day of practice. And then I saw you, I saw your boat, and then I saw you in the vent. I guess my question is one, how many days of practice did you have? And then 2, because I felt like it was very short. 2, was that a window of something that you had experienced there before? And what I mean by a window was, did you see something when you were there before that made you think, on your drive to Virginia, hey, I'm going to go do this, and if I get the bites, I'm going to crush on them?
Well, you only saw me the last day because that's about the time I showed up for practice.
Okay.
I launched my boat. I left Neely Henry after weigh-ins on Monday, drove there. I launched the boat about 4:30 on Tuesday, practiced till dark, and then launched that Wednesday morning and fished till noon before we had to be off the water. And I've spent a lot of time in that area before, and I've caught really big bags there in practice. So I knew the quality of fish that were around. But I've never gotten on like a big swim bait bite like that.
Okay.
I think just the water was clean. And it was just usually we're there in August, and the fish are positioned differently than they were this time of year.
I understand. Greg, you're sitting there with him. The listeners don't know, but you tried to point me in the right direction. That is your neck of the woods and like your little wheelhouse. and you're roommates with one of my very best friends in the entire world, Brian Schmidt, and you happened to be with him when he was trying to direct me in the right direction before that event. And I can go ahead and tell you, I did not. I'm stubborn. I'm sorry. I had a flipping stick in my hand, and I just couldn't. I couldn't do it, bro. But when it was over, I thought of you, and I was like, man, I should just listen to Greg.
Yeah, that's that place is a very good fishery. But when you put 225 boats on it, and guys been there for a week or 2 weeks, and they're just nonstop pounding the fish. I caught my fish in the event the same way Brandon did day one. I threw a drop shot the entire event because I knew them fish got their butt beat all week.
Yeah.
So I had to finesse them, but I had a little bit different approach. For that tournament, I got there kind of the same deal. Had 1 day of practice. When I got there, I noticed it was freaking cold, and I pulled into. I started fishing some really shallow cypress trees. I was not getting bit, so I just backed off on the cypress trees out of the current, and that's where I caught every single fish in the tournament. Like the first day of practice, I probably shook off 30 or 40 fish once I got out to them deeper trees. It was just every single tree.
I want to hear about your drop shot setup from both of you guys. Are you spinning rod drop shotting? Are you bait caster drop shotting? 10-pound leader, 8-pound leader? What are we doing? What kind of worm?
Go ahead, Brandon.
I throw pretty much the exact same setup everywhere we go largemouth fishing. It's still on my deck right now. It's the same setup that I used at Santee Cooper when I caught that big one on the final day. I throw a 6-inch X-Zone deception worm, and I was throwing on 10-pound leader. It's a Seaguar Gold Label leader, and it's the exact same rod and reel setup that I catch smallmouth on too.
What hook, Brandon?
I throw the number 1 VMC Finesse Nico hook.
Oh, that's a badass hook. That's a good one. Is that that X-Zone worm, is that floating tail only, or does the whole worm float?
The whole bait floats, so you get that. It has a really good horizontal presentation to it.
Right.
It sits there and quivers.
So is that a spinning rod or a bait caster?
Yeah, it's a spinning rod. Hold on, I'll grab it. It's up here.
Yeah, so I finally switched up for this tournament just because I noticed one thing that I saw this year in the James more than I've ever seen. The barnacles were way worse this year. So I'll let Brandon get back to that, but then we'll have in mind.
Yeah. So here's the setup right here. This one's a little shorter because I'm cheap and I just pinch the head off of it when I blow the head off my worm. But
are you just straight nose hooking it, or how are you getting that on there?
Yeah, he's got a Texas rig, dude.
I've got a Texas rig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Texas rig, little 1/4 ounce drop shot weight.
1/4 ounce. So I got a question here on the board. Brandon and Slater, congratulations. You're going to win yourself a Gills Gear gift card for this question. Brandon, if you can't trigger the fish, what's the first thing you change? Do you change your bait, your leader, or your weight size?
Probably bait, I would say, is the first thing. Either to a smaller or sometimes larger size worm to get those fish to trigger. But generally, my weight is dependent on how deep I'm fishing.
Guys, I'm gonna jump in here and sort of change the subject a little, get away from the drop shot for a moment and get a little more general. At first, I thought this was just a trick of the math. He hadn't fished a ton of tournaments, but now Brandon Palaniuk has a big enough body of work that I'm prepared to say he is the best big bass tournament angler on the planet, hands down. There's no question. Ooh. Brandon, I know about that.
That's pretty stout. I don't know if I can claim that title.
You can back it up. You've got the track record. I'm serious. You have caught more daily tournament big bass than anyone in elite history.
Oh, wow.
And that puts you up against guys like Faircloth, Jordan, and you've not fished as many tournaments as they have.
Huh.
And where it's amazing to me is you do it on smallmouth.
Oh,
okay.
What's that?
Oh, sorry. No,
What's
it's
that?
Brandon. He's like, huh.
No, anyway,
know that.
You do it quite often on smallmouth waters, where I feel like it's maybe even tougher to have the couple of ounces more that make a difference there. Anyway, is this because you're throwing a lot of giant baits? Is this because you just have a better ability to locate these big fish? What do you attribute this ability to, Brandon?
Magic elk meat.
I would have to say it's location based more than like technique based, because some of those I've caught on drop shots. Like at Santee, I caught the 712 the last day on that drop shot setup. So I can't say that it's always because I'm throwing bigger baits than everyone else. I think it would have to then be location based more so. Doing things that are a little bit off the wall, which then generally leads to larger than average fish.
Wow. Okay, so we talk about location based. How is that different? I mean, guys are looking for groups of fish, guys are looking for successful structure, guys are looking for bedding areas, whatever it might be. What is it that you're looking for that they're missing?
It's the very first thing you said there. Guys are looking for groups of fish. A lot of times I'm looking for individual fish. I'm not afraid to idle around, and if I see one fish that I think's a bass, I'm not afraid to cast on it. And I think that can be the difference sometimes. And I know even I've had events where I didn't even drop the trolling motor and caught my entire bag. Like we've been on Sturgeon Bay and I just idle around and I see him on the back graph, drop a drop shot, catch him, put him in the box, and then just keep idling. And sometimes that's what you have to do.
When did you get to that point as an angler, Brandon? Like, at what, like, when did you become comfortable enough with your ability in fishing and your electronics to literally drive around looking for individual fish and then fish for them?
I grew up fishing that style. So I grew up trying to literally just go get 5 bites, because it took really big weights at home. And a lot of times the biggest fish at home were individual fish, or there'd be 2 together, and they didn't live in big groups. So I grew up fishing that style. And then I think just over the years, I've gained more and more confidence in my electronics, being able to look and identify different types of fish in different scenarios that gives you the confidence. And I mean, honestly, the best thing to do is I'll throw in a lot of stuff that are not bass, but it's because you'll go forever thinking, oh, you don't see anything. You look, you see something, you're like, oh, that's definitely fish. But when you see a bass, if you've seen them enough times, you're like, oh, that's a bass. And then you actually do get bit.
What are you using to identify them? Are you using 2D sonar? Are you using down imaging, side imaging, and which works best in kind of like different scenarios?
I would say largemouth fishing more SI, and smallmouth is more DI based.
Okay. So almost no 2D sonar?
I use 2D up front, but I don't use much 2D on the back unless I'm just on pad running.
Okay.
Brandon, you impressed me tremendously a few years ago when you won Angler of the Year, and you're in the hunt again this year. And I got to say, I did not believe you would be a contender for Angler of the Year. I thought you'd win a lot of tournaments, but the reason I thought you wouldn't necessarily challenge for Angler of the Year is, and I might be the only person who knows this, you catch, historically at least, maybe not last couple of years, but historically, you catch fewer fish than most of the elite field. But the ones you catch are bigger.
Yeah.
So I always felt like, well, for Brandon to compete for AOY, he's got to ramp up the number of fish he brings to the scales. And you've done that, but you've always brought size to the scales. So kudos to you for putting it all together. And now you're making another run at Angler of the Year. You're in 4th place right now. What would another AOY mean to you?
Oh, man. I don't know. I haven't even really thought about that yet. I don't look at the points. So nobody tell me the points.
You say that.
You say that.
Don't. But if I had told you were 94th in the points, would you have believed me?
No, I know that I'm up there. But the difference is I can be in 4th and think that I'm 200 points behind, versus being in 4th and being 4 points behind. There's a completely different mental mindset when that happens. And so I don't ever look at the points. I can't hide people saying, oh my gosh, you're in the running for AOY. And I've had a good season. I know that. but I also know I finished 61st and Seth made a top 10 at the Sabine River. So in my mind, I'm at least 100 points back that I got to make up in the next 3 events.
Brandon, do
Ryder's
you
got a healthy lead.
do you weigh your fish during tournaments?
I've tried to go more toward that. Usually I don't. But
I was gathering that I feel like you probably wouldn't want to because you don't want to know your points in the AOI. Like you probably don't want to know your weights during a tournament either. You want to just kind of keep
try to
catching
catch
bigger
as
fish.
much as I try to catch as much as I can every day. But I think I've started weighing them. I use the Rapala touchscreen scale, so that I have to physically push a number and cull, so I don't end up with 6 fish in my live well.
You like it to have 6 fish in
Hold
your
that
live
record,
well.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
I hold that record.
Yeah, you definitely
I
have
was
the
gonna say
record
if
for
someone
doing that
took it.
most times.
Yeah, I'm like, that hasn't cost me yet, but I this year I've definitely weighed more fish during a tournament, just trying to be more cautious of that.
Now, Greg, you're coming off a couple of strong finishes and an elite and an open, so it's got to feel good being hot going into Gunnersville. What does that do to you or for you mentally when you know you've been fishing so well?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing for me, honestly. I don't really think about that too much. I know I hear that a lot of guys get on a run and do that stuff. Maybe I haven't been on a good enough run to really say I think about it. When I think about Gunnersville next event, I just think about grass personally, just because that's what I'm used to fishing at home. It's hard to say, maybe if I get up to where Brandon's catching them and all these big fish, I could think about that. We'll see, I guess.
I bet you subconsciously think about it without even knowing it.
You may be right.
Because I think it creates a rhythm and creates a sense of confidence that, like, you just feel like you're going to go catch them, but it doesn't mean you have to think about it. You don't have to think, oh, I'm going to go catch them. You just subconsciously do that.
I guess so. When I fish at home, there's not even a question. It's like I know I'm going to catch them. And I feel like even at this level, at the elite level, maybe Brandon is there. I think certain guys get in that comfort groove of confidence to where anywhere as they go, they know they're going to get them. There's a lot of places we still go to I've never been to. So the confidence, I don't want to say my fishing ability confidence falls down, but the confidence of knowing I'm doing the right thing or knowing I'm fishing the right areas maybe isn't there as good enough yet for me personally.
Greg, do you feel like you've been to Gunnersville enough to have a real feel for it, or maybe not yet?
I do. I think the one thing that I can say is most open hot.
We get ran over.
I think the one thing I can say, going to these places multiple times, I think the biggest thing is more of the lake. So if you had to adjust to a certain pattern or something, more areas where you can actually go run it now versus before I'm always looking for it, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, guys, we were talking to Bradley earlier, and he was talking about the difference between fishing a small field, like a Bassmaster Classic, kind of a medium-sized field like the Elites, and then fishing a large field tournament like the Open that you guys just left. Brandon, what kind of adjustments do you make, if any, based upon the size of the field?
I pay attention to how much pressure areas are getting. And it's not even necessarily guys actually catching fish. It's just guys in an area. Anytime you put that many boats on an area, it negatively affects their environment. I mean, if you go out on the James River when there's not an open, it's pretty quiet and peaceful, and there's not that much going on. And then all of a sudden, you've got 200 boats running around, and those fish hear all that. A lot of them are up shallow. That makes a difference. Those fish can sense that in their environment. It's a change in their environment. And I try to pay attention to that and think about how those fish would move around. And I think that makes a difference, and it's a lot of times you'll run into guys that they're not even necessarily fishing something right, but they're in your way. And that happens a lot.
Yeah, know the feeling.
You're trying to get somewhere, you're trying to fish something, and they're
you're here on the wrong tide, man.
Yeah, you're doing the wrong thing at the wrong tide.
Hey,
Bradley, put
GDP,
down the flipping stick.
GDP, do you feel like a larger field makes a spot more important than maybe a pattern? Just because the field is so large?
I think with a larger field, I think that's where your ability comes in way more than anything, because like Brandon just said, there might be 5 or 6 guys ahead of you doing the wrong thing. So if I come in behind him, I know I'm doing the right thing. There was a lot of times in this open where there'd be 5 or 6 guys in an area already going through in front of me, and I had no problem at all with that because I knew that I was going to go behind him and get him, and I did. You know, they were just going right through there. They almost, I feel like the opens guys, and this is no offense to them, but they just get in emotion. They just go, go, go. They might get stuck on the pattern that was there a week when they were there. You know, I saw a lot of guys chucking and whining. Them fish were not on that. Maybe they were a week ago when the weather was warm, but when we were there, they cooled off. You had to get in front of your face. A lot of the fish were still on beds. It seemed like, you know, you had to slow down. A lot of them guys were not doing. So ability-wise, it made a big difference to me.
Hey, Bradley, I feel like I'm asking all the questions, man. I know you've got something, Riz.
Well,
or maybe
I
something on
do.
the
I was
message
just kind of
board.
waiting for a moment to jump in there. This is really big, actually, and I've given this a lot of thought. And after last week, first of all, both these men are out there practicing for the Bassmaster Elite Series on Gunnersville, and a lot of viewers don't realize that they have giving up practice time to be there. And both of them, I can tell by looking in their eyes, they're both chomping at the bit for this video or this interview to be over. Both of them. And I get that. I do totally. Let's get straight to it. Brandon is young enough, and I don't think, because I'm older, and I'm saying this from experience, and I don't mean this at all. I don't think you realize exactly what you're doing. And what I mean by that is what you're doing for this sport. And I think that, and I truly mean this, dude, what you're doing is what validates bass fishing as a true sport. And I truly mean that, because in football or basketball, you've got a 43-inch vertical. This is something that you're born with. When you play football and you can run a 4.25 40 and you can carry a football in the NFL, and NFL playing on Sundays is special. And it's not something that, yes, you can work hard at it and become better at it, which those guys do and which you do, makes them better. But what you're doing is something that you're born with. And I don't know if you realize that. And I truly mean that. And I say that from watching the sport. It is a God-given talent, what you have. I remember, so I've been doing this long enough that I remember your rookie season. I was there. Our very first tournament was St. John's River in Florida. And they had police patrol out there, right? Like, we've all spent thousands of dollars to even be there, and they're just chomping at the bit to give us a damn ticket for idling too fast through a wake zone.
Manatee zone.
Yeah, wake zones, manatee zones, all that stuff. And you were behind me in takeoff on day one. And I remember turning to you and saying, dude, because you were young, like, you're chomping at the bit, you're ready to go. I mean, like, that no wake zone is not working for you at all. And I was like, hey, bro, you had just come off the Classic, you know, through the Federation. You'd had an extremely good Classic, and you were chomping at the bit to prove your point that you were there. And your boat was like, you know, and I was like, dude, they are going to give you a ticket, and Tripp's going to DQ you, and you're not even going to be in this event. And my point being is that, you know, you'd come from Idaho, and you know as well as I do, like, you don't have the background of a kid that grew up in Alabama, right? Like, because they've got – their water's not froze. They've got multitudes of lakes. They can fish 12 months a year. You were limited to how much, you know, with just the weather from where you grew up. But yet you still came in and did all the things that you've done in the beginning all the way to now. And to me, that validates our sport as a true sport, because you show what the true value of, no matter how many guys study, learn, work, all these things, like, you have it. Does that make sense? You have it. And dude, you have it. And to me, that is huge.
I guess I don't ever really think about it.
Well, you know, at your age, you probably don't, dude, but I'm telling you, you have it.
Yeah, I want to piggyback something on that too about both these guys that we were talking to. I know Greg. I would say I know Greg very well, and I watch Brandon from afar. These guys, not only do they have it, but they go after it. Like, and that's one of the things that I respect so much about the anglers like you, Bradley, and these guys that are out on tour, is that the grind, and you got to fall in love with the process, and you got to fall in love with the early mornings, the late nights, the work, the driving, the windshield time, all that stuff. And like you said, it really validates our sport as legit. Like none of this just gets handed to you. Like it comes with a price tag. It comes with a serious tax on your personal life, on your body, on your family. And you got to have some God-given talent to really succeed
100%.
out there.
Well, I tell you guys, I don't know if Brandon remembers this, but I used to tease him and call him Reggie, as in Reggie Jackson, because he was either home run or strikeout. Well, he's taken the strikeout out of the game for the most part. He doesn't strike out like he used to, but he's so impressive. And I agree. These guys have it. But I've also seen Brandon grow and improve as a tournament angler, and that's been so impressive. Brandon, when and maybe the answer is not yet, but when do you feel like you hit your stride on the tour? Because you're there.
I think I'm still getting better every week, every day. Mentally, just understanding the fisheries better. Honestly, it's everyday work, and I don't know, like, I never want to be satisfied with where I'm at. I hope that I never get to the point where I feel like I've hit the plateau. I want to keep an upward progression until I retire.
Well, I've known Brandon since he hit the trail, and I want to give the audience some inkling of how confident Brandon Palaniuk is.
Oh gosh.
He once told me that he believes it is possible to win every elite tournament of the season.
Definitely.
He believes you can get there.
Wow.
And I think that's great that he believes that. I think it's wonderful. Kudos to him for believing that, because, hey, that's the only way it's going to happen, is if somebody believes it and goes out and accomplishes that. But you did say something crazy to me one time at an ICAST. You said that after you hang it up, you want to go from state to state, breaking the bass record in each state. And I encourage you once again to start in Massachusetts, where the record is 15-8.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough
son. In Massachusetts?
Mass is 15.
Massachusetts, through the ice.
Holy.
So, Brandon, that's where you're going to start, my friend.
Dang, I'm going to have to catch one through the ice. That's when the big ones bite Mass.
Dude.
Ken, are you
Bassmaster Elite Series in Massachusetts through the ice.
Ken,
through the
you
ice.
serious with that? Mass is a 15-8 big.
15-8 through the ice, 1975, Walter Balonis.
Oh, my God. Dude,
Wow.
guys,
Don't toy with me, BTC. Do not toy with me.
How does Mass have a 15-8?
I don't know. I don't know. But before we let these guys go, I got one more question that I got to get in with both of them. And actually, Greg, I want you to answer this first, because you're a little bit fresher on the tour than Brandon is. But how many times a year do you leave an event and honestly, as you're leaving that event and driving home, you can say to yourself, I got better as an angler this week? Like, how often do those moments come about where you realize that you did something this week, in that tournament as a fisherman, that you really haven't been able to grasp that before, and you can tangibly feel it? How does that happen often, or is it once a year, once every few years? Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, it's literally happened since I started fishing research, every single event. But the events that I do the worst in are the events that I learn the most in. As crazy as that sounds, because like the events where I'm like either struggling or not on something, that's when your back is really against the wall. So a lot of times, man, I really just fish like seam the pants 100%. And man, I learned so much that way. I really, truly do. Like, there's been so many times I'm driving home, like, man, I got to write that down because it's so darn good.
Brandon?
I think it's every event, but I always look for something positive to take away from an event, whether it's a good one or a bad one. And some of the events that I've finished second in, I felt like I performed better than the events that I actually won. Like, I was more proud of the way that I fished when I finished second in some events versus when I won.
Right.
Because I've caught bigger bags every single day and I just got beat at the end of it. And I think it's kind of perspective of how you look at it, what you take away from an event. Sometimes it's a technique that I got better at. Sometimes it's, electronics or finding the fish. And then sometimes it's just a mentality thing, being able to buckle down and fish a technique that you don't necessarily enjoy and make the most out of it. And I think that there's something to be said for that, of like being able to take a mental win away, even if sometimes it may not be a win on the leaderboard.
So is that something you think that all tournament anglers or just anglers in general should strive for, is to, even if it is just a day of fun fishing on the water, reflect back and find a takeaway, find something that you can say, I got better at this today, or I learned this today?
I think that's what we should do as human beings every single day, not just as anglers. I think that's what the entire world needs to do every day and be able to play.
That's awesome.
Yes.
All right, Brandon, we got the Bassmaster Classic coming up for you here pretty soon, about a month away, less than a month away now. Obviously, that's a very important tournament for you. It's something you've had your sights on for more than a decade, most of your life. What are you going to do differently approaching this classic versus the others?
Not going to do anything different, Ken. I'm going to swing for that fence like Reggie would do.
Drop the back shoulder and get some lift, baby.
Drop the mic.
I'll be rooting for you, man. I will be rooting for you.
Thank you.
Hey, Brandon.
Thank
So
you.
I talked to you earlier, and you mentioned, we talked about that Storm Arashi glide bait. Oh, for crying out loud, my camera's frozen again. Brandon, you hear me?
I can see you. You're moving. I can hear you.
Yeah. That's a different camera. Hold on.
Yeah, you're getting a different feed there, Brandon.
Brandon, we talked earlier about that Arashi glide bait. You got a couple bites on at the James on that, right? Am I right?
Yes. It's on my deck this week too.
Okay. Now, I've got a couple of them, and there was one that I hated the color so much I put a crank wrap on it because I couldn't stand the damn color. And then I see one of your posts, and here you are with a big one with that color. And then I go, and I'm like, nah. And I go scrolling through your Instagram, and I found more. And then I find out that might be the color. What color?
Please tell me Oki. Please tell me it was Oki Wamisu.
I don't know what that is, but it has green.
It's got,
the green?
Yeah, green with the little like black squiggly lines.
Yeah.
Brian, you covered that up with a crank wrap.
I did.
Literally, my
it looks like somebody tried to do a yellow perch and then gave up halfway.
Did you hear that, Brian?
That's a little bit like an IU color to me.
That is that bait looks like nothing and looks a little bit like everything.
Okay.
It's more of a reactionary thing.
Yes, I could see that. It aggravated me, and I wrapped it, and then I'm like, wait, what? And then Mike took it out the other day and caught a bunch of them on it, and I'm like, oh. So I pulled that wrap right off.
One more question real quick, just because we're on this topic, from Hog Snatching 405. Congrats, you got a Gills gift card for this question. Brandon, when do you choose a bluegill or crappie shaped glide bait over the shad or trout style shaped glide bait?
Really, if they're keyed in on like big gizzards or they're on brim beds, then a lot of times that profile will make a difference. That's in glide baits. That's in a lot of things. Even if you talk like prop baits, when they get on a brim bed, they'll eat those shorter, fatter prop baits better than the long, skinny ones. And so it really depends on if they're truly keyed in on specific bait. If they're just feeding or they're just living around cover, but they're not keyed in on a specific bait that they're chasing, then it doesn't matter as much.
That's the ones I
Good
catch.
stuff, guys.
Matter as much.
Great stuff. And hey, you guys, continued success out there. You're both on a pretty good hot streak right now. We wish you nothing but the best out at Gunnersville. Wear them out. And thanks for your time here on Bass U Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
You're
you
welcome.
guys.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
Hey, Greg.
I got a run to make.
See you guys.
Greg,
Glad
thank you. Thank you for setting that up and making this happen, G.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
You're the man, bro.
All right, guys. Talk
Thanks,
to you later.
Brandon.
Take care, guys.
I'm
Good
taking
stuff
both
from
those
the
guys
water.
in my pick this week. Just I'm stepping out on a limb.
Yeah.
They gave up practice. I'm picking them. They're
like
on my
it.
fantasy team, dude. They're on it.
That's my program for fantasy every week, because I just pick my buddies.
Yeah, I'm taking them.
Oh man, I tell you, when I
Not real great, but you know what? I kind of drew my line in the sand.
I'm with you, dude.
I'm digging my foot in
I'm
the
with
box,
you.
and dude, I'm sticking with it. I'm
Nope.
just, in each group, I'm like, he's cool. I'm picking him.
He's one of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey guys,
no
seriously, on all serious notes, what Palaniuk is doing is extremely
oh, yeah.
special. I don't have Ken's analytics because he's got them out the wazoo, and I have no idea.
Nobody does.
All I know is that I've been doing this a long time, and what that boy is laying down is not normal.
No,
it's not normal.
He's really, really good.
That's a fact.
Yeah, he's a special talent, and you got to believe that guy's going to eventually win a Bassmaster Classic,
Oh
right?
yeah, it's coming
God, yeah.
for sure.
Of course, we believe that about Roland Martin. We believe that about Gary Klein. I believe that
Great
about Todd
point.
Fairclough.
Great point. See the analytics coming in.
know.
The fact that Roland's not even ever had one, and like that guy's won more than anybody on the planet. That's a great point. Yeah, but I'm with you, man. Like any day, any year could be Palaniuk's.
Yeah.
You got to figure it's going to happen. You got to figure it's going to happen, and it might be this year. But a lot of fun talking to those guys. A lot of great that we can talk to them when they're practicing for Gunnersville. Really appreciate them taking the time out, because everybody here understands how valuable that practice time is, especially when you're fishing for $100,000 and your livelihood. That's a nice commitment to us there to be on Bass U Live.
It really is, man. Can't say that enough. That's a fact. Ken.
BTC, where are we? Do we need to take a break? What are we up to right now?
Yeah, let's hit a commercial break, and Brad was on a roll. So Brad, you still got that queued up, right?
I don't know what we're talking about. We can queue up something else.
We'll get back into it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll talk about.
I felt bad, like I talked for a long time.
No,
No,
dude,
it was great.
Yeah,
All right.
it is what it is. But that was outstanding stuff.
Yeah, so we'll do a quick break, and then when we come back, chop it up a little bit more, and we got a grand prize to give away. Facebook like and share.
Ken's got some amazing trivia questions we're going to throw out there.
Sweet.
Got a couple other things. Ken,
sweet.
This is awesome. Thank you.
It's fun.
We got a few trivia questions out there. I'm not sure exactly which. I'm going to let you two guys help pick the one to ask, because I've given you three. I don't know if we want to show them to Bradley or not. We may want him thinking about it.
Yeah, we want him thinking.
Bradley, that's the hassle with being a guest host, is we don't necessarily cue you in on everything.
I'm learning this. I'm learning. Hey, when in Rome? No, it's not even when in Rome. It's when in Jersey. You're in Jersey.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, except you ate Domino's pizza today. I can't.
Brian
I'm an Okie. I'm an Okie.
Domino's should not even have a single store in New Jersey.
I agree. I agree.
That's for places that don't have real Italians.
I agree.
Dang. But all right, we'll be
All right,
back.
folks. Hey, stick with us through the break, because we got some good stuff coming yet. We got some trivia questions. Riz has got some great prizes, and we'll be back in just a bit.
All right.
Awesome.
Automatically, they can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse. Everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant.
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail.
Happens every time.
The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter. Not good. Motor oil. Gotta keep the rust off all these baits. WD-40. Gotta keep the rust off. Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, the list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau Tackle Storage Systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned, American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
Literally a revolution in underwater viewing, AquaView technology now gives anglers the power to instantly deploy, retrieve, and store camera optics with the mere turn of a reel. The user-friendly Micro Revolution underwater camera series is loaded with essential AquaView innovations: a crystal clear smartphone-grade LCD, critical on-screen data, including water temp and camera direction, digital video recording, and exclusive integrated camera retrieval system.
If you want to spend more time viewing and fishing and less time messing with a cord, the AquaView Micro Revolution is the only camera you need. When I want to check a spot fast, I can drop the optics and see what's down there, even in deep water, in seconds. And when I'm done, reel up and start fishing. As simple as your favorite fishing reel, but clear and convenient as your smartphone.
The most advanced yet convenient cameras available, the AquaView Micro Revolution and Micro Revolution Pro set the new standard in mobile underwater viewing. The thinnest, brightest, most colorful screen, progressive on-screen data and recording technology, and a true revolution in underwater viewing efficiency. The #1 name in underwater cameras, AquaView helps you discover what's really swimming beneath the surface.
Hey folks, welcome back to Bass University Live. I'm your guest host this week. My name is Ken Duke. I'm filling in for Pete Glusick, who is watching his son Jake play baseball. He's got a playoff game tonight. We hope Jake's doing well. We hope his team is winning. I am joined in the New Jersey studio by Brian the Carpenter, who's pushing the buttons, making everything happen. The Riz, who is making sure that you folks are involved and that we hear your questions and your input. And none other than Bradley Hallman, tournament standout, bait designer, all-around bass renaissance kind of guy. So we're having a great show. We just talked with Greg DePalma and Brandon Palaniuk, and now BTC. I'm enjoying watching you on the private screen here, watching you deal with some of these production difficulties, which I know is helping you keep your profanity razor sharp.
Did some of that come through?
I couldn't hear it, but luckily I know some Jersey sign language.
Yeah.
How's everything going there?
Oh, great. I don't know. We'll wait for the emails to come pouring through. But anyhow, yeah, great.
Well, I know we've got some prizes to give away. I know we got JK I want to ask a trivia question at some point so we can start to deal with those prizes. I want to get back to Bradley Hallman and some of the things he was telling us about tournament fields.
Yes.
So where should we begin?
Brad, I'm going to get off the screen and recover.
Tournament fields. Yeah, I mean, we were right there. We were talking about 525 boats in Oklahoma team tournaments.
Yeah.
And then
Insanity.
Say that again, Ken?
That's insanity. 500 and something boats.
Yeah,
that's
dude,
ridiculous.
it was a regular occurrence. I mean, it was every week. It wasn't regular. It was every damn week. That's what it was. That was the reality of it.
I mean, and that produced a hell of a lot of good fishermen from Oklahoma.
It did. It was almost like the Field of Dreams because, like, them dudes came out of there.
Yeah.
It was like, you build it and they will come. But, man, I don't know. You know, the Opens right now are extremely competitive. And I truly meant what I said about Palaniuk, dude. That is abnormal.
Oh, yeah.
And I really don't think he realizes what he's doing. I really don't. But I think
that might be part of his success is because he's just so he's just so in his own world of, you know, he has his methods and he does what he does and he's got like everything is just it's as it's supposed to be for him and he just goes out and fishes.
I don't think Denny realized what Denny was doing when Denny was doing it.
Right.
I don't think that Van Dam realized what Van Dam was doing when he was doing it. And now it's Wheeler, right? I mean, we all recognize what Wheeler's doing, and Palaniuk is right there with him. It's incredible.
Yep.
It is absolutely incredible.
No doubt about it.
Field size doesn't seem to matter to those guys. Like, it's just, you know, they get her done. But
how many boats are in an Elite Series tournament? They got, what, 90 now?
Ken Duke, Mr. Analytic, how many they got now?
Yeah, they've got about 90 guys out there, 88 guys out there. But
that's a big
It's
difference.
It's always fun to watch the cream rise to the top, no matter the field size. Isn't it always amazing? You know, and one of the things I've seen, Bradley, and you're a great example of this, the guys who have competed at the highest levels.
Oh, yeah.
When they drop down to fish and open, they usually excel.
Yes.
There are some tough tournaments out there, but you guys with that experience know how to adapt and adjust to a shorter tournament or a larger field. And that's really what I think is awfully special about the top pros.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I've seen that throughout my career. And this goes across the board, right? We're not just talking about Bassmaster. This is everything.
Oh, yeah.
My really good friend Todd Castledine just won AOY in the Texas, Oklahoma. I don't know if they call it the Central Division now, and they're not the Costas, but they're the Toyota series. I think that is like his 5th or 6th AOY in that division, which I think leads the country.
That's incredible.
It's a lot.
And Castledine probably fishes as many, if not more, tournaments than anybody out there.
That's awesome.
Castle Rock is a hammer down, you know, Texas guy. But what you're saying, Ken, is that's why I brought him up. You see him, he understands how to fish multi-day events.
Yep.
He understands multi-day events, you know, in that region extremely, extremely well, and he understands what pressure puts on Texoma. Seems to always be on that schedule. Texoma was very much like the James that we just got off the Open with, which has been a lot of hot topic on this specific show. You can catch them really good when you show up, right? But that lay down or that cypress tree or whatever, you can't catch a 5-pounder off of come tournament day with a 1/2-ounce spinnerbait and a big blade. Like, she's done, you know. And so that's where the field size comes in. You kind of got to get off the beaten path or something that's not quite so obvious. Or if you're going to fish the obvious, which is what Palaniuk did, the obvious, you give them something they've never seen there before.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he did.
You got to beat the field. You got to fish better.
That's exactly what he
the
did.
Fish around other people. So on that topic of, like, you know, fishing in these massive fields and, you know, practicing for lakes, how much in practice for you, Brad, do you, once you kind of get an idea of like, all right, this is what they're doing, this is the stuff on the lake, I can get a bite, how long do you spend validating that before you go into, okay, I'm just going to go look for more of this now and not even fish for them? Like, because so I'm just now getting to the point where I'm fishing multi-day tournaments. I'm fishing more and more. It seems like every year I'm fishing more 2- and 3-day events. And this past week, I identified some stuff that was going on, and I knew what I could go get a bite on, and I almost feel like I fished too much of it in practice. I caught too many of those fish that I could have just left alone and came back in tournament day and caught them when I needed them. For you, as a veteran of the sport, how long or how many bites does it take for you to know, okay, this is a thing, now let me just go look for more of it on the lake, and if it holds up, I'll be able to catch them consistently?
All right, so let's break this down for real, like for real. One, we've been talking about huge field sizes, right? So for me personally, with the opens right now, it's how many other guys are in my area. Exactly what Palaniuk just said. He said it. He was like, how many guys are in this area and how much pressure are these fish getting, right? So if you're getting bit, is it something that a lot of guys – so the tournament you're talking about, how many boats were in that field?
Oh, not many, 50.
Okay. The second thing that I'm going to think of, right, so you probably don't have a lot of pressure with 50 boats. Second thing I'm going to think of is like, what are you throwing that you're getting these bites on, that you're catching these fish on in practice?
Flipping deep wood. So I was fishing a lake that was at 299. Normal pool is about 300.5. If it's 302, it's in the bushes. So the water was low. So anywhere there was wood that touched into 4 feet of water, I could get a bite.
And how many good fish did you catch during practice?
I was catching keepers consistently and one better than average fish a day in practice.
Okay, and then the tournament came and
day 1 sucked. Day 2 caught a big bag.
Okay. Why are you catching those fish?
Because it's the last piece of cover they have, I think.
Why not have a hitchhiker and not a hook and let them bite it and you don't catch a single one of them? I had 17 bites the last day of practice. Now, this doesn't show my results, but I had 17 bites my last day of practice on the James River. I never saw a single fish. I didn't see a fish I caught 1 2.5 pounder first day of practice.
So you're shaking off all of them.
I have a hitchhiker on, dude. I don't even have a hook. I can't catch them. It's impossible. And so out of those 17, I had 3 bites because they're in those pads, right? Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this, Brian. They're not really pads. Dude, they are ripping 20 pads out as they go. I mean, they don't have a hook on it. I mean, I'm just holding on to my rod, and they're ripping 20 pads. I don't have to have a hook to know that that's a big one.
And do you think that
now
fish
that
bites
could be a grinnell, right?
Yeah.
But out of 3 of them, let's say even 2 of them are a grinnell. At some point they got to be bass.
Right.
That's why I'm asking why hook? Why hook any of them?
Right.
Why hook any of them? Even in a small field or a big field, why hook them? Because you can put a hitchhiker in it, and you get bit. That fish will be there, and I can't tell you how many tournaments, and this is not just me. This is Denny Brower. This is Tommy Biffle. This is all of them, dude. When you're fishing like you were fishing on an isolated piece of wood, when the water's pulled down and there's a bite on it, it's a single fish. You don't know how many times we've gone back and caught that same fish in tournament day. Many.
Same bait?
Exactly. Same pitch, same freaking stick sticking off a laydown. Laydown's got 5 limbs on it. You got bit on this one, you throw back to that limb on tournament day and you catch that fish.
Hey, Bradley, I know you haven't been to New Jersey before, but I want you to keep in mind when Riz said there were 50 boats in the tournament, you got to realize the biggest lake in New Jersey is about 12 acres.
That's a good point. Yeah, and I'm not thinking that. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. Because in my mind,
we were on John H. Kerr, Ken. We were on Bugs Island. It's pretty big lake.
Okay, I'm just messing with you. You know that. You know I'm kidding. But yeah, that's a factor too. Yeah. I think the amount of surface acres, the amount of shoreline, the amount of cover, all that factors into how big a place fishes.
He is 100% correct.
And I bet you, Bradley, might agree with me on this. Maybe the best example of fishing small is Okeechobee, which is 500,000 surface acres, but you'll get a tournament there and everybody will go into this small area they call the monkey box.
Yes.
And it'll be bumper to bumper.
Yes.
It's crazy how gigantic water can fish small.
Ken, what angler on tour has won the most practices?
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. I'll tell you a really crazy, funny story. This was after the last Bassmaster Classic that Kevin Worth fished. Kevin Worth's a wonderful guy, great talent. That guy knew how to qualify for a Bassmaster Classic. That's one of the things I'll say about Kevin Worth. Well, he made it to the last day. He fished all 3 days. He made the cut, and he's coming off the stage in the last day. And I happened to be standing in the media center with, I believe it was Mark Davis and David Walker. And so Worth comes up, and he's got tears in his eyes. Tears are streaming down his eyes because he's retiring. He's going to give up the tournament trail and all that, and a lifestyle he really enjoys. And he says, "Admit it, guys, you're going to miss me." And Walker said, Walker's hilariously funny, by the way. Walker says, "Of course we're going to miss you. Without you, who's going to win practice?"
Yes.
It's brilliant.
Ken, those
That's
guys,
one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
There's not many of those guys that win practice. I was looking at Ike's 100-pound belts, and there's more over there than I can mention. When I came in the studio, and I actually filmed some for my YouTube, but one of them is Falcon Lake, and winning practice takes me back to exactly what you're talking about. This was the Elite Series. This is a great deal. A lot of guys used to ask me when I was on the Elite Series, and I still fished a lot of opens. I fished a lot of tournaments, just like I do today, and I was fish opens, and people would always ask me, what is the difference between the Elite Series and the Open? And this is exactly the winning practice. Dude, at the Opens, at the meeting, everyone is happy and excited because they're all on them and they're going to jack them. In the Elite
Series, they've been catching them all week. They've been giving them the iron, man.
In the Elite Series, they ain't caught a bass all week, and that was including that event at Falcon where Ike's got that 100-pound belt up there, which he didn't win the event. He was probably in the top 10, but it was probably at the lower end of the top 10. But they all had never caught a bass in their damn entire life. Like, well, I don't even know why they're talking about Falcon being so great. You can't catch a fish in here. This place sucks. And then, so the difference between the two. So then on tournament day, the first day of the tournament, at the Opens, everyone's all down and out and depressed because they hadn't caught a bass.
Yeah.
The weather changed. It was cloudy. It was raining. The current wasn't right. The tide, they got an excuse. And in the Elite Series, when you get to weigh in, they all got grins on their faces, and they're like, "Man, I got so dang lucky today. I had no idea. I got 25 pounds."
That's it, man. Sometimes you just land on them.
That is the difference between the Elites and the Opens. And dude, it is true.
That's
so
funny. I could see
a lot
that.
of the guys didn't win practice in the Elite Series. I mean, there were so many guys that they were jacking them, and they were like, "I hadn't caught a bass here all week." It was funny.
All right, so how does this play out in the Opens? Because I say this a lot about local tournaments. I'm going to get a little bit dicey here, and might turn some people off with this, but I'm just keeping it real. In local events and the Opens that we fish on the bay, any given week, if you got 100 boats there's 85 guys that are just there. There's 10 guys that are probably going to catch them. And then there's another 5 that really have a chance to win.
Mm-hmm.
On the Opens, you got 200 and a million boats, whatever.
Right.
How many of those guys are really just giving their money to bass? How many guys are really giving, really have a shot to win and make it for real? I mean, on the Elites, it might be a little bit of a different story. Those guys are all qualified. They had to go through the ringer to get there.
Ken has the stats on the Elites, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah, in the Opens, how does that stack up?
Modern day Opens,
modern day
2021.
2021
ahead,
Opens.
break it down.
Yep, bass fishing genre
I'm gonna
culture.
break it down. The number's going to be larger than you think.
Okay.
Because what it used to be and what it is now, modern day is a little different. And Ken will agree with me on this because he's followed all of it, and the Opens have changed drastically since 2020. And the thing that's going on right now is that we have a lot of locals. And I'm talking the best locals. And I don't mean 1 or 2. I mean like 20, 25. Would you agree with that, Ken?
Absolutely.
They're going to lay – and they're there for one reason and one reason alone. This is what you got to remember.
They're there to win.
They're there to win. Then you got mixed in the Brandon Palaniks and the Elite Series guys that are coming. They ain't worried about qualifying for an Elite Series because that's what allowed Brandon to come down there and do what he's doing. I can't take that risk, dude.
Yeah.
I'm trying to qualify.
Yeah.
That is a huge risk. Yeah, I mean, it gave him the win. So you've got that group of guys. So you've got a good group of let's say 50 guys, 50
Yeah.
out of 225 that are swinging. You know what I mean? Every fastball that comes across the plate, they're trying to put it across center field. That's where they're.
We're using a lot of baseball references on Bash U Live, by the way, in the last couple of months. Yeah, it's all right.
Then you've got a group of 50 guys, right? Probably 50 that are just trying because they got the end goal, so it's points, and they're just trying. So they're not going to make any like radical decisions.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to like, hey, how can I catch? You know, and here's the thing now, like even with Bash U Live, everybody's like, well, how do you just go catch 5 fish? Well, the reality in some of the stuff we're fishing, 5 fish it's the same as not catching a damn bass. Like you got to catch 5 good ones. And I mean good ones. I mean really good ones to do something. Because Brian and I were talking about this last night, right? They're paying 40 checks. There's 225 guys. That means you have to beat 180 anglers.
I do remember this.
To get a check, dude.
Right.
To get a check.
Yeah.
180. You think about this.
Yeah.
Any tournament you fish, you beat 180 guys.
That's hard as hell.
Normally, you're
do.
getting a trophy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's the reality of it. So you got another 50 guys that are doing that. I would say out of 225, man, there's there's that group that are learning, young, inexperienced, or older, and whatever. There might be 75 out of 225 right now.
Yeah.
That's probably what we're up against.
My takeaway from the Opens is that it is hard as hell to win an Open.
I want to hear Ken's number.
I think Bradley's nailed it. I think obviously it's a little bit different in the Elite Series. I think it's a little bit different in the 2021 Elite Series versus the 2017 Elite Series,
100%.
2018 Elite Series.
100%.
Ken.
I think back in the day when, let's say, the Elite Series was at its talent peak, I would say that in any individual tournament, there were 40 guys out of 100 or 110 who had a legit shot at winning going in.
Right.
Maybe as many as 60 on some of the more frequent body of waters, a Gunnersville, a Kentucky Lake, a Florida tournament, because they had seen it so often and they'd all had some good experiences there. In this group, I think that number is probably much lower. I think that number is probably like at most a third of the field has a legit shot to win. But that group rotates,
Right.
Some of the guys are really good up north and they have a shot there. In a muddy water situation down south, maybe they're not a factor anymore.
Yeah.
But the catch rates are showing that this group is not perhaps quite as strong yet, but that will change. The Elite Series is going to get stronger because that's what cuts and new anglers coming into the field do. The Elite Series is going to get stronger.
That's what cuts a 3 of 225 do.
Yeah.
I mean, when you come out in the top 3 of 225, I promise you're going to be able to play the game.
Yeah. Absolutely you are. And it's a big deal, and it's wildly competitive out there.
And that's what's amazing about our sport and bass fishing is that, so with what I just said on like the percentages of like all these guys, the crazy part about it is that the group of like the guys that, really have a shot to win, that changes from like day to day. Like, and even on local bodies of water, for example, I'll go back to the Bay, for example. There's stretches and weeks where, like going out of the tournament, like, dude, this guy's been on them, and then it can just be one day. All it takes is I feel like as a fisherman, you get one bite, the right bite, and something clicks, and all of a sudden, poof, you're right there, and now you feel like you're going to be able to win every single tournament. It's amazing how quick it can change for an angler, and you get that slap in the face of like, this is what you need to be doing, and all of a sudden you're a threat. You're knocking on the door to be able to get that trophy in your hand.
That's right. And then you get to a tournament like the Bassmaster Classic where there's say 50 guys or something like that, and I think legitimately probably more than half the field has some sort of puncher's chance.
Yeah.
Boxing reference instead of baseball this time, but some sort of puncher's chance to get in there and do really well. And one thing they never seem to tell you in the broadcast, but I assure you is absolutely true, is that half the field gets eliminated every day in the Classic or more. So after day one, out of the 50, all but maybe 12 or 15 are already gone.
I
They're
agree.
done. They might as well drive home.
I agree.
After day 2, you're really looking at the top 6 or so who have
agree.
any kind of realistic chance to win.
Has the Classic always only been 3 days?
Yes, sir. But ironically, it hasn't always been Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It started Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's sort of gradually moved to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But always
Was the
3
elite
days.
has the Elite Series always been 4?
Yes, always.
Why? Well, why the difference?
Well, I think the plan originally with the Elite Series, and I was working at Bass when Don Rux conceived of it and pitched it. I think the plan was that the 4-day format, which was not new even then, but that the four-day format was a good way to really find out who was the best angler. And with the cuts leading into the weekend, you would give guys a chance to get home if they bombed, and you would give the fans a chance to see the top half of the field and get autographs. Now, I hate cuts. I hate cuts in tournaments. I realize that guys want to go home when they can't catch a fish, but at the elite level, at the tour level, I hate cuts because it means that maybe Denny Brower and Rick Clunn are going home when those are the 2 guys you most desperately wanted to talk to and get an autograph from.
Okay. Yeah.
I hate cuts. We talk about how fan-friendly our sport is. It's not. Anyway, but the elites have always been planned as 4, and it also makes some interesting things more viable, Riz. 4-day tournament makes 100 pounds approachable.
Yeah.
A 3-day tournament, probably not.
I can say that as an angler that's fished in multiple 4-day and 3-day events, like it ain't even on the same planet.
Really?
No. If you want to win, when you win a 4-day event, dude, you've done something.
Yeah.
3-day event, you remember you asked me yesterday, you was talking about wins, and I was like, yeah, man, then them don't count. And you're like, yeah, they do. 3-day, you can freak show and you can do a lot of things in day 1, 2, and then hold on day 3.
You get one big day and
you ain't holding on 4 days, son.
It's still impressive, but I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
I got
4-day is tough, and it does. That's really where you separate the butter.
What's the biggest difference you have to become as an angler to be successful in a 4-day?
Mental. This thing's all mental anyway, but it's definitely mental on 4-day. Like the two FLW Tour events I won, 4-day events on, dude, it was because of my 6 years on the Elite Series. No questions if, and, or, but. It was from experience and understanding how to handle that.
That's crazy when you think about it. When you're fishing a 4-day tournament, you got 3 days of practice. You're fishing the same body of water for a week. Like, think about how much shit can change.
It changes drastically, yeah.
Like,
and think about when they fish. They're fishing in the spring when things are so volatile, right?
Yeah,
it's not like a summer deal where you just pull up to this brush pile and that brush pile and you catch them day in, day out. Dude, it is volatile as all get out.
Right, and then you mix in like a tidal water situation too, and it's like,
ooh.
Yeah, tell us about that, Fred.
It's over my head. Over my head. Under my head.
One of the things that always kind of made me shake my head about the 3-day, 4-day thing is that we qualify most of the anglers for the Bassmaster Classic, or rather Bass qualifies most of the anglers for the Bassmaster Classic through a series of 4-day events. And then they decide who the world champion is over 3 days.
Yeah.
And that's because they don't want to change that tradition about the Classic, about it being a 3-day championship. And it used to be that most of the tournaments were 3 days. So it made sense to keep the championship that length. But a lot of other things about the Classic have changed, like the creel limit and things like that. But the 3-day thing seems to have stuck, and I like it.
I'm with you, Ken. I really do enjoy it from a fan aspect as well as from an angler aspect. We've all been to many classics and we enjoy it, but 3 days is the number as a fan, right? Like, it just couldn't go on another day, I don't think. From an angler's aspect, there's only 50 guys too. So, right, the regular season's a whole lot of guys. And how they all got there, whether they came through the Federation or the Opens, like, there was a whole bunch of guys. So that's what I kind of like about it. I mean, it's all in right here, 3 days. It really just fits the profile. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
absolutely. I like it too, and I think the Classic is just the crown jewel of the sport, and I look forward to it every year. I'm glad we're going to have a chance to go to the Classic this year. I'm glad Bass decided to wait until they could have an expo. And I'm sure a lot of that was a money decision, because Bass makes a lot of money renting out the booth space for the Bassmaster Classic. So It wasn't decided just because they said, oh, it's tradition, it's important that we have an expo. No, it's a money deal, but I get it. Riz, I know you've got some prize packages to give away. Do we need to ask a trivia question? What do you want to do here?
Yeah, we do. So we are going to give away a Facebook like and share, and we're going to give away a grand prize trivia question. I have the questions from you, Ken, so I can go ahead and cue them up for our guys here. But before I do that, I just want to remind everybody, guys, we have a great promotion going on for Bash U TV right now. Sign up annually. You save $30 on your subscription, and you get the brand new red, white, and BU Bash University official American flag hat. So go ahead and get over there, get signed up, join the program. We got over 800 videos on our website. We're dropping 3 new videos a week, all with one goal in mind: to help you catch more big bass, guys. It's really, really a great program. It's been an awesome show, Ken. I was really excited to hear when we were having you back on the show with us. It was really good to reconnect with you. Go ahead and go right here to the trivia question for our Bash U TV subscribers. And we're going to go down the lines of ICAST, Ken. We're getting close to that month for the ICAST, so we're going to throw an ICAST question out there. What brand has won the most ICAST awards in the lure categories? What brand has won the most ICAST awards in the lure categories?
Wait, and simultaneously cost the least fish?
Oh,
wait. I'll be right back.
That was a dagger in the heart.
Man,
BJ.
wasn't it?
Wow. Bradley, can you see the answer on that one?
I have no
have they hidden
idea
it from
on
you?
this. None. Like, this is definitely towards you, Ken.
Well, they like to keep secrets over there at Bass U Live, and I don't blame them. Anyway, we're not going to ask you to guess, because you probably nail it. You know everything anybody needs to know about bass fishing, but there is a company out there that has won 10 lure awards through the years. And
We
remember,
got a winner, too.
ICAST actually started in like 2002. So the brand ICAST is relatively new. Before that, it was AFTMA, the American Fishing Tackle Manufacturers Association.
We have a winner.
They got you?
We have a winner, Ken. It didn't take that long, but yeah, this company, they got me. Because I've really been at this that long, and I'll go ahead and say the winner. Tom S., congratulations, you won. The company is Live Target. Live Target has won the most ICAST awards with 10, and they got me too with the bait ball jerkbait.
Bait ball jerkbait.
Yep.
I mean, it looks great.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, you look at the giant lure companies out there, the Pure Fishings, the Strike Kings, the Rapalas, and yet it is Live Target that has won the most awards with 10. Second place would probably surprise a lot of people too. That's Lunker Hunt.
Wow. Really?
5.
Oh, yeah.
You're not throwing that spider lure, bro?
No, I do throw the swim bait.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Fetch?
Oh, that's the fetch?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually legit, yeah.
Yeah, I like Matt. And that's a real deal, dude. If he can catch them all, if he can win 2 back-to-backs on Beaver Lake, that bait will catch them.
Go ahead, Ken.
Hey, it's all about finding them, right? It's all about finding them. Hey, BTC, looks like we got some good news in a text moments ago.
Deliver.
Can you share that with us? No, man. You're closer to the game than I am.
Pete, hot off the mounds, Jake's team won 7-0.
In the playoffs.
Talking playoffs. That's right. And if you guys
they
saw a minute
survive
ago,
in advance. I don't think Allen Iverson is on that team, but if he is, he'll probably be skipping practice.
Oh, yeah, practice. Who was the coach?
Playoffs.
No, it's
That was Jim Mora.
That was Iverson.
Practice.
talking about practice.
We talking about practice?
But yeah, a minute ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You were talking about Jim Moore, the football coach.
Yes.
I was thinking Iverson about practice.
I got a phone call a minute ago and had to jump up.
5-time MVP. Practice.
We're talking about practice. I actually did a YouTube video on my channel about practice.
Yeah.
Like, we really going to talk about practice? Because there's not a whole lot to video, because I just told y'all I ain't got a damn hook on. So what are we going to talk about? Practice? We ain't really talking about practice.
Never have a hook on in practice?
I'm not saying to that extreme.
Right.
But, yeah.
Check the weight on a couple of them and then.
Nah, not even a couple with what you were doing.
All right, hold on. I wanted to go back in on that because I caught the tail end of that conversation. I was over here dealing with my demons with the mess.
You've had some demons tonight.
I got demons. We don't have time for that. But, yeah, so it was interesting what you said about why would you ever check a fish on a brush pile because they're singles.
Right.
All right, yeah, you're not identifying size.
I can identify size.
But you're not going to identify that there's quantity of size there. It's a single, so why would you burn it? It doesn't make any sense.
Correct.
That's interesting. So in what situation are you trying to identify? I guess grass is going to play different where you're looking for size.
No, I mean, I was shaking them off in grass.
That's questionable, though.
Not when it gets above 7-8 bites. Like when that goes north of, and you start getting into the 10 and the teens, well, what's questionable about it? Look, I'm
with you. I'm saying, like, you wouldn't go out and fish a grass bed and not swing on anything, right?
No, I'm not showing up at the bay and I haven't seen anything at all in my entire life, and I'm out there just flinging. Like, I've got to see some fish.
Yeah.
But I'm not looking at very many once it starts going down. Like,
my rule is 2. It's always, I mean, on the bay specifically, it's if I get one on a grass bed, I'm like, all right, something's happening.
All right. So,
and if I get 2, I'm out.
So,
and my thing on the flats is, in practice, I don't really care about size on the grass bed because I've seen it too many times where on Friday I'll catch a 3-pounder and on Saturday I catch a 6. It just seems like the areas that they use.
We experienced that. So the 1 digit that Schmidt gave me, right, that I got stuck on that we were all talking about on the flat. Maybe that was with Mike and before the studio showed. I don't know.
Correct.
But so anyway, I had 1 digit out there and I ran to it and then
at dead low tide, right?
Right. And
nice.
it took me a while to get there. But once I got there, I got 2 or 3 bites. I ran into Pete and them hours later. And they were like, how many bites did you get? And I was like, I got 3 bites out there, but they're just all 12 inches. Like, I hadn't had a bite anywhere else. And they were shocked that I had 3 bites to begin with. And then they were shocked that they were 12 inches because I guess apparently there's not many little fish.
It's usually hard to catch small ones out there.
So then I take him back out there later because we do a little one-on-one with Pete and
Dale Jr.
Yeah, because we had Dale Jr.
We had the real Dale Jr.
Yeah, the real Dale Jr.
Shout out to him, man. He was awesome.
Dale was awesome.
Absolutely.
So we do a little fun bet between the two of us. We have nowhere to go. Me and Brian BTC are partners.
I got no marks out there.
And so I was like, hey, dude, let's go. Because we'd been out there. I was like, let's go to where the point was where I got 3 bites on a chatter this morning. They were little. So we go over there. They're much bigger, right? 3.5, 338, 329.
Yeah. They were small for
same
a
dang
while,
place.
we did
Same dang place, just a little different presentation. But like you just said, where you catch this, you can catch big ones.
Yeah.
So that is different.
And I think every fishery is different. Like
110%. So like TVA type stuff, this is how I used to do TVA before it was all well known, and now guys just graph and they find schools, and I don't know. I still don't even know if that's okay. So they do that, and that's how they find them. used to you would put your boat in the ditch. And I learned this the hard way. Like, nobody taught me. But, like, when Kevin Van Dam and I was in the Elite Series, and I mean, I could make top 10s on TVA systems in June, like when it's cranking. And I learned this from my own experiences. No one taught me. No one told me. And this is how I do it. You take the top of this table. You put your boat. So the edge of this table is the ditch. So this is the main river channel. You put your boat in the ditch. You throw your crankbait on top at a 45-degree angle, and you bring it off. And this is how TVA is. These ledges may be 3 miles long. You're only looking for a place, so you guys see this phone. This phone's laying on it. You're only looking for one cast, and there are literally 100 or 200 bass sitting on this
one
phone.
high spot. Yeah,
that's it. And it could be an indention. It could be lots of things that the navionics or your graph doesn't show you
Right.
on you can't see it with your eyes. And so you would cast, so you would go like miles and never catch a bass. I mean, hours. Doesn't matter. Didn't matter to me because I'm only looking for one bite. But here was the deal there. With those schools of fish on TVA, when they're generating and it's summertime, if there is 300 bass here, if there's a 7-pounder in there, I promise you, like if you're going to catch 30 bass and 30 casts, the best 5 fish you're going to catch out of that 30 are going to come in the first 10. Does that make sense?
True.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
The biggest
biggest
most
are com-
aggressive fish are going to bite
Them
first.
son of a guns know how to eat. They know how to beat everybody else to the punch.
Yeah.
So I would cast.
Another boxing reference. That's 2 for boxing, 2
you
for
would
baseball.
fish for like you would fish down a ledge for like 3 hours and you wouldn't catch anything, and then you would make a cast and then boom, you would hook, and it would be like a 5 to 7 pounder.
5, 7 pounds ain't weighing
Oh,
in
like
tomorrow.
Gunnersville. Yeah, Gunnersville. It'd be like a 7 pounder. All I needed to do, hopefully that fish would like come off between me and the boat.
Right.
That was best case scenario. Then you would just turn and fire right back in there, and all you got to do is crank, hit that spot, and bam, another one. And then you knew waypoint. That was a waypoint, not for a group of fish. That was a waypoint that, dude, if you pulled up on that and somebody else wasn't on it,
You're going to get a bite.
20, 25 pounds day
Right.
one of the Derby. Like
Right.
you're going to be like, that's what was going to go down. So were we hooking fish? Yeah, we were hooking. But now you're talking about like sunk down water, one lay down left in the water. Now I ain't sticking none of them fish. None of them. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It does. But situational.
Situational.
Yeah. That makes sense, man.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know, one of the great conversations I had with Kevin Van Dam in all the years I've covered the sport and known Kevin had to do with something that you're talking about a little bit there, Bradley. He was talking about, or I was asking him about, how do you know if all the fish in the area are going to be the same size and it's not worth sticking with them versus sticking with them because there's likely to be some bigger fish in the group. And he said, and this has always stuck with me, and I thought it was genius. He said, you have to know whether it's a holding area or a feeding area. He said a holding area, you know, they're likely to all be about the same, but a feeding area, you're going to have more variety. Is that something that you take into account as well?
Well, so let's go back to the TVA deal. And this is big time stuff. This really is. That telephone's the school. And so I told you the first one's like a 6-pounder. I don't know what it is about them. So you remember Bobby Lane won one there, right? Do you remember that when Bobby won? And Bobby told me point blank. Bobby was like, dude, there must be 5,000 fish on this spot on the ledge. Bobby told me something that I had recognized before. And when he told me, I told him, this is on day one. I said, dude, I'm telling you, they are there. Because I knew one thing that happened. Steve Kennedy told me about a story, and Steve and I talked a little bit about the same thing. So this is a largemouth reservoir primarily, right? Kentucky Lake or Barkley. But there are smallmouth that live there as well.
Carp.
This goes exactly to what Ken's talking about. When you make a cast on this phone, dude, and you catch a 7-pound largemouth, next cast is a 5-pound largemouth, and then the next cast, and I've had this happen, when the next cast is, and it locks up, especially in practice if it was like on the second cast, because I ain't catching more than 2, and it locks up, I'm telling you, you'll be cranking and you'll be like, okay, I'm hung on a stump. It's a stump. It ain't a stump because that stump rises to the top and shoots to the air 20 foot, 15 foot off the surface, and it's a smallmouth, and it is gargantuan, you know, in that 5 to 6.5 pound range. Now a smallmouth is in the middle of this giant school of largemouth. And I don't know what it is with the TVA system, but when you see that early in the progression of the fish that you're catching, it is the mother lode. I mean the mother lode. So like whatever the big bags are going to be weighed in. So if 20 pounds are big bags that year, or if 28 is the big bags that year, it is right there on that spot. Those smallmouth are mixed in with the variety of what Kevin Van Dam's talking about. It is a feeding spot, and everyone is there at the dinner table, and that includes the dominant smallmouth on that reservoir.
Interesting.
How about that?
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
wild.
cool.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I'm telling you, if you throw in there and you're in practice and you catch a 6-pound largemouth and you catch a 5-pound smallmouth, that is where I'm starting. I don't care how many schools I find. That's where I'm starting.
Wow.
Good stuff, Bradley Hallman.
Yeah.
A-game stuff, my friend.
Been around the block, bro.
Clearly. That's juice.
By the way, me and Brad fished yesterday. Did we talk about that?
Yeah, I didn't catch a damn bass. You whipped my ass out of the back of the boat. It was wonderful. But we won the tournament because I chose the right partner. We beat Dale Jr. and Pete Gluzak. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
That is true.
You know, there's an unappreciated aspect of team fishing that needs to be covered on Bass U, and that is partner selection.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, a partner that doesn't tell anybody. Loyalty.
Somebody who brings good snacks.
Ah, yes.
We can't forget Brian Schmidt for the digits either. The digits from Schmitty were pretty special.
Same place that you and Mike started when I fished with Travis last.
No shit. On the east side? Really?
Yeah, that ditch kind of high.
On the east side?
East side?
It's already
Schmitty's going
down.
to kill me. He's never going to send me another digit. We're
already
sitting
going
here
down
on
over
Bass
there?
U Live talking about
I
east,
wouldn't
west,
say-
and north and
I wouldn't
south.
say it's going down.
The only thing that makes me feel better is
Really?
that Mike said
Was
that
there
was
grass?
20 mile section.
A little bit.
Really?
A little bit. Yeah, that one little.
Yeah.
And it is little, dude. It ain't much bigger than a boat.
No, it's
Yeah, that. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You triangulated? You knew where you were?
No, he got.
I know, but you knew.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I triangulated. I looked over here, I looked over there. I'm like, it's a spot.
That's hard to do out there, bro.
It is, but
that's really hard to do out there.
Yeah.
You see what I'm dealing with, Ken? I'm up here in New Jersey, and they're having this conversation, and I'm lost.
I hear you, man. That's why I like to
ain't
stay
lost. You know
safely in
triangulation.
Polk County, Florida.
Yeah, but there
I'm
was
afraid of those
some
guys.
fish, but there were bigger ones somewhere else too.
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
Yeah.
Ah, geez, Stevie Hanna's on the board. I just said something about a part of the flat. I'm done.
Stevie, I got to show you his swim jigs, by the way.
Legit.
Yeah.
I got some pretty special ones. They're called little Schmitties, and they're pretty special.
Yeah. All right.
All
so,
right.
It's been a fun show.
Yeah, it has.
Hey guys, where are we? Where are we on the show, BTC?
I mean, this is amazing, but I got to get up really super early. Mike's picking me up at 4:15.
Oh my God.
To drive somewhere far away, and we are fishing and filming with Roland Martin and Jimmy Houston.
It doesn't get much better than that. That's the ultimate bucket list trip right there, isn't it?
Right.
No joke.
I'll tell you what's a bucket list thing for me, guys, is the chance to host Bass U Live. I've had an absolute blast. You guys have made it so much fun. I can't thank you all enough. Let me start by thanking Bradley Hallman, who was a super guest and guest host here. Bradley, thank you so much for being a part of the show and sharing, giving us so many great tips. You really gave us the juice on a lot of great things tonight. So thank you, sir, for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Riz?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bradley.
I feel the same as you. Like, this is my very first time in New Jersey, very first time in studio. This place is the bomb, the juice, and I feel like Superman. I mean, it's like I'm at the Bassmaster Classic, but I'm on Bass University Live, dude.
Yeah.
I can't tell y'all how much I appreciate being
Yeah.
here, just like Ken. Like, I am super, super, super humble.
That's cool, man. So, damn Yankees, maybe like dang Yankees.
I told you I was from Oklahoma. We had no
Maybe we
tie
just
into
like-
the Civil War. Like, we don't have that issue.
How about darn Yankees? We ain't that bad.
We don't even think of y'all as that at all.
I know, I'm kidding, man.
Down here, we just say damn snowbirds. So
That's right. There you go.
kind of the same.
This is true.
But Riz, thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure to work with you, brother. I love the way you bring the questions in. You've got great questions yourself. You bring in great questions from the fans, and you offer a lot of bass fishing insights. So Bass U Live is always so much better because of you.
Thank you, Ken. Don't make me blush. I still got to give one more thing away here. The Facebook like and share for tonight's show is Kevin McKee. Congratulations, Kevin McKee. You won yourself a Bass University official swag pack. And also, guys, I just want to take a quick second to remind you there's still an awesome contest going on over with our guys at Gills Gear. Head over to gillsgear.com. Click the Bass University tab and get entered in to win a $250 Gills Gear prize pack, a year subscription to Bass U TV, and a 30-minute meet and greet with us on the Bass University Live program. The best part about this is it's no money. You don't have to pay a single cent for this. Just sign up with your email, get entered into the competition. $250 to Gills, 1 year to Bass U TV, and 30 minutes on the air with us. Get over there, get signed up. It's an awesome contest.
Yeah, it is, man. I think we should do the meet and greet from the bar.
We could.
From
the Naughty Goose.
From the live.
No, from the
X24
No, the Ike
studio.
Live boat bar.
Yeah, from the garage bar, boat, studio, lounge. And,
BTC, you may still have some housekeeping stuff to do there, man, but I want to thank you because you're the guy who makes all this possible. You and I have, and I feel like we've become great friends through the last couple of years.
Yeah, man.
Can't thank you enough for trying so hard to make me look good.
Oh, stop, man! You're awesome, dude.
Aces.
Thank you. Yes, you are. You're aces, Ken. You're the
But
best,
I know you guys want to plug the next show. I don't know who's going to be on there. Is the sheet?
Yeah. So again, Ken, we need your podcast. The world needs your podcast, dude. For real. There's so many trash podcasts out there from people that shouldn't have them. Ken, you should.
You're saying one more.
I'm just saying. No, everybody's got the right.
Let's make it happen,
But Ken, yours needs to happen, man. Seriously. It really does, man.
Story time with Ken Duke.
Yeah.
That's basically what it's going to be, Riz. It's going to be, I'm going to call it Micropterus, and it's going to be basically story time.
Yeah, we need it, man.
That's good.
Make it happen. If there's anything I can do. Anybody in Florida, if you need somebody, Ken needs an intern, somebody to lay the
That'd
mat.
be great. Ken at micropterus.com.
Yeah, hit him up, man.
Ken at micropterus.com. And hey, I'm trying to get all you guys to come down here and go fishing with me.
Dude,
So,
I'm ready.
Get on down.
I'll drive down there right now.
Ken, I do have a question. Where in Orlando exactly? Are you on a Popka? Are you on where are you?
I'm actually Bradley, I'm just west of Disney. I'm in a little town called Davenport in Polk County, which is the bass capital of the world.
Polk County is.
BTC, this is my chance. This is my chance to pull out the shirt, right?
I want to see it.
Oh my God, yes.
Polk County.
All right,
Hold on,
let's see
wait,
if we
not
can
yet,
get this
not
up
yet.
here. This is
Get it.
Ron DeSantis is our governor. He kept the state open. He's really supportive of sport fishing.
That's awesome, dude.
And I expect that one of these days,
Back it up
he's
a
gonna be
little,
running
Ken.
for president. And if you can't quite read it, it says, "Make America Florida."
Yeah. Hey, Ken, I can back that up because 2020 in June, July, I flew to Florida when the whole world said don't go down there. And Scott
you go.
Martin had his
Perfect.
offshore boat, and it was wide open because nobody was coming down there. Had a wonderful time. We went offshore.
Caught like 700 sailfish or something.
We had a wonderful time, dude, when we caught them. It's all on YouTube. You can find it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm teasing him about that. But we had a great time. My point being is your T-shirt, dude. We had a great time, and Florida was wide open, and we lived life without living it in fear. And I flew back home, and everything was great, and we had a great time.
It's happening here every day, Bradley. Florida continues to be open. Fishing's great. I need to get my buds down. Come on, guys.
I'm coming, man.
I'll take you some good
Pete,
places.
I'm going to ICAST, Pete, and you're paying for it. One way.
And I'm
or
looking forward to
another.
seeing all three of you guys at ICAST or the Bassmaster Classic or wherever we run into each other down the road.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
BTC, is this guest coming soon?
Yes, coming to So Randall Tharp was supposed to be on a few weeks ago, but the show had to get abruptly canceled. We had some issues come up with Pete got stranded like Gilligan out there on a desert island. So we had to postpone that show, and Randall's going to come on pretty soon, man. Maybe next week. I have to reach out to him. Randall's awesome. And I've got some big bait guys coming on, guys that make them, guys that could tell you how to really use them. Kevin Brightwell from KGB. Swim bait guys know, and Tater.
Not my Tater.
Tater Hog.
Tater Johnson.
Not that Tater Johnson.
Different Tater.
Different Tater.
You talked to Tater.
I did talk to Tater.
That's right.
Tater don't make a swim
guess-
bait though.
No, Tater throws
I guess that makes me a commentator.
Tater fishes with minnows. My Tater does. Fishes with minnows.
He sure does.
Well, good deal, guys. It's been a blast. Thank you all for watching. Thank you guys in the studio for making it all happen. Anything else we got to do before we close this one out?
I don't know.
No, we're good.
Brad's got a new camera mount system that he's going to release to the world. Talk about it or no?
Nah. I've already released it to the world on YouTube and prototype like 6. I did dump a camera in the bottom of the Potomac. I have a camera floating in Potomac. If anybody catches it, it's mine.
Sunk.
Right outside of Belmont Bay. That one's mine, sunk. That's why we're in prototype session. But yes, Ken, thank you very much, man. You are always wonderful. Hey, I've got a deal in Florida. I'm gonna get some contact information. Maybe you and I need to hook up in the month of June. I'm coming down there for an MPFL. I will be in studio. Dudley has a broadcast, right? Dudley has an MLF tournament over the third or fourth stop for the MPFL, and I am going to be in broadcast with Luke Duncan. I will be on air. Yeah. That'll be me. And, dude, that's in Orlando. Maybe I should, book my plane to leave a day later than what it should, and maybe we should shoot a YouTube for my channel or something. And it could be the start of Ken Duke. We could talk about some of the YouTube stuff and maybe your new podcast.
Well, you tell me how I can help you, man. You holler at me. I'll love to take you to dinner. If you're looking for more content, I can introduce you to some really cool people down
you're
here.
The person.
And I think BTC.
No, you are the person.
You're
the guy I'm looking for. So, maybe we could go on the water. We could talk about it. Spend a day together. I would love to do that.
That'd be great.
Here's
That'd
a really
be great.
important
But I can introduce you to better. You just holler at me. BTC has all my contact info. I'd love to hear from you anytime.
Absolutely.
I'm handing it out to everybody. Really important question. So David Dudley, obviously, doesn't wear underwear.
He doesn't?
Ken?
I have no idea about this.
He doesn't.
This is,
no, it's a fact.
Not a question I'm prepared to answer.
Pretty famous magazine cover.
Okay.
Anyhow, I was just wondering if.
There's that.
I know where this is coming from. I know where that came from. I just caught it.
I was just wondering how. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. It's a great show.
I just got it.
Always taking us out on a high note, BTC.
That's right.
Yes.
Folks,
Yes. Always high note.
Thank you. Thank you to the viewers. Hey, Bastu gets better. I won't be on next week, so it's going to get better. It'll be smoother. It'll be easier. The Dean will be back, Pete Glusick. So take care, folks. Catch a bunch of fish.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night, everybody.
Peace.